Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of It's Your Birthday. We got you a gift this week, and you guessed it, it's video games. I'm your host, Kelly Workman. This is Christian Langton. How you doing today, Christian?
What's up, everybody? I am doing fantastic, actually.
Oh.
Another interesting week.
In real life, or
I
in
say this every
RL or
fucking
virtual L?
busy as fuck, honestly,
Okay.
in real life.
Yeah.
But still a lot of good stuff. It's not busy isn't always bad, I guess. Sounds like
No.
something your dad would say.
Idle hands
But
diddle the devil, or whatever they say.
yeah, that old saying,
Mm-hmm.
that old famous saying.
Famous quote from Austin Powers, famous hands diddle, baby.
Yeah.
That's my bag, yeah.
Maybe I love.
Don't sin. Remember how Austin Powers was a Christian film for everyone? It was a film about the
I
Bible.
think I remember that. And instead of like "It's a Wonderful Life" everybody watches every year, or like
Yeah.
that Bible epic movie, yeah, it's all Austin
Well,
Powers.
it's a true David and Fat
Uh,
Bastard film. He took
yeah,
his
yeah.
pebble, his British painted pebble, and slingshotted it at a fat bastard's chicken hole, and then he farted, and the film ended.
I'm I'm almost certain they use the phrase "chicken hole" at some point
I'm
in those
sure they
movies. They
did.
have to.
Get in my belly. You guys remember that one?
Yeah. We before we started the podcast, we were talking about like if Austin Powers was portrayed by like the most monotone actor
Deadpan character,
possible.
yeah. And every character Mike Myers plays is Mike Miles per hour is also plays is just completely deadpan as well. So it's just
Yeah,
do I make you Randy, baby? Yeah.
Shagadelic.
That's not my bag,
Mhm.
baby. Oh, my mother's calling. I wonder if I could ask her about if it's Randy. Yeah. Well, that's okay.
I I think I might be into this idea a little bit more than I was into the Love Guru, which killed Mike Myers' career.
Oh, yeah. Well,
By the way,
it wasn't great. Do you ever see that I can't remember the name of it, but he hosted a game show where he dressed up as a completely different person and hosted a game show with
so
a different name.
that was like 4 years ago. It was like the Gong Show. They were bringing
Yeah,
that
yeah,
back.
yeah.
And it was like yeah, I didn't see that.
It
I
was
mean, I didn't see
super
the show,
weird.
but I didn't see him like in that role, like when they were doing trailers and stuff. It didn't really look like him, which I guess is like the gimmick of him.
Well, that was the weird thing
Um,
is like a lot of people didn't realize it was Mike Myers, and then he also was not saying that he was Mike Myers, so he was like a weird. It had this really weird air of uncertainty with the whole thing because you're like, he's not Mike Myers, but he is this host of this show, and you do have actual celebrities on as just their normal selves, and it was just really weird. It was kind of like
it's like an
primetime
Andy
Glick.
Kaufman experience. It's like an Andy Kaufman experiment or something, like some
Yeah.
weird
Well,
out
it
there.
was like Jiminy Glick, but it was more like you could tell even less that this was Mike Myers, I guess, because Jiminy Glick was like
Yeah.
you knew for sure he was this character. I don't know. It was really weird. It was a weird zone of show to try and make, but
Do you
they did it for him.
Did you know? Speaking of Austin Powers, I guess.
Everything about it. Yeah, ask me
So
anything.
there was like Game Boy games or like Game Boy Advanced games for
Yeah,
like
there
Austin
was.
Powers,
You're right.
and it was like mini games and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
I do remember
Fucking
this.
weird.
Oh my god, dude. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
called
about to.
Austin Powers Oh Behave for the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, it's like mini games, and like these weird like cutscenes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hi everyone.
yeah, definitely like a weird uh game, and I think like you put your name in or something.
I mean, I imagine you can pick your name, you know? I it's really
Yeah, it's
strange.
like a PDA or something.
Oh, I see. So it's like a Palm Pilot almost, but you're playing Austin
You're just playing,
Powers' life.
yeah, you're
Dude, do you see that Rockstar logo on there?
like Rockstar, the inter. Oh my God, yes, I do.
Rockstar like on the box art there, bud?
Uh-oh. I
And
wonder if they remember making this game.
I don't know. IGN seemed to not care for it. They gave it a sick 3 out of 10.
That's
If you trust
oh
their opinion.
yeah. I wonder if I can skip ahead because
Oh,
from what I remember, it's just a bunch of weird mini games. Like yeah, rock paper scissors.
okay. Hold on. This review. This is crazy. I don't know if this is real or not. This review is
Uh,
from 1 month ago. Okay, about this game, and it's from a guy named Jared Creven, whose profile picture is Austin Powers. And it says, I'm a big Austin Powers fan. I've watched his movies nonstop since a year ago when I was 12. When I was this, I went to buy a Game Boy Color and then actually had it at the store. So I thought that was very groovy, baby. And I did not put the Game Boy down ever until I finished it. So 5 stars for me now. Excuse me. I have to get my Shagwire. That is the 5-star review from 1 month ago by Jerry, who
Wait,
is
so
either
is he
trolling us
implying
or
that he
is
is 12?
13. What's that?
Is he implying that he is 12, like right now,
I
or
don't
he
know.
was 12 at the time?
I I watched his movie nonstop since a year ago when I was 12, so I think he's 13 now. I
I wonder,
guess.
I wonder, uh, who do his parents have to be to where like Austin Powers is like influential in their house?
I mean, I watched it a lot when I was a kid. But now I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give you that.
Oh,
Like,
hold
yeah, well,
on.
the thing is, when we were children, it was a little bit more in the zeitgeist, you know?
Yeah.
Like today, like who's thinking about Austin Powers today?
Actually,
Aside from us
well, I was
right now.
gonna say we watched it like 3 months ago, but either way,
From what I remember, the first one, like I watched the first one a few years ago, does not really hold up very well. Like,
it's aged poorly, but it still has its bits in there. I think it was funnier than I thought it was going to be, but it was not as impactful as I remember it. Maybe. Uh,
yeah.
There is also we got a little bit of a Pokemon situation here because there is Austin Powers Welcome to My Underground Lair, also for the Game Boy Color, featuring Dr. Eggman on the front or whatever his name was.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Is this
buddy.
real?
Yeah, it's the other game. Oh, and you can be
I
of
thought
male,
I
female,
thought there
or
could be
clone.
only one
No,
of
dude. There's
this.
two.
Like,
You got two fields of Austin Powers fans. You're either like Austin Powers or you want Doctor Evil to win. Now,
oh, look
at
at
the
that
end of the
Doctor
day, the
Evil.
fans always win, and Mike Myers also wins. But if you
Yeah,
think about it objectively, it's really,
wins a big fat fucking paycheck.
yeah,
I wonder how much he made for doing like all the Austin Powers movies.
probably
Do
a
you think he
fuck
got
ton,
paid
dude.
more for?
Well, they
Do you
made
think he
three
got
of
paid
them.
more for Shrek or more for Austin
Oh,
Powers?
Shrek, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way about it. I mean, also, I mean, he did. I mean, the Austin Powers movies. If you remember, the third one had fucking Beyonce in it, so it was like they had Baywants, and people love Baywants. So it was, yeah, it was a pretty big deal, I guess, at the time. For I remember, well, there was some scene where they were like putting tennis rackets up her butthole or some shit too. They were like in that tent, and it
Yeah,
was like,
yeah. They did a
man,
lot of that shadow puppetry stuff. I think that's like in every movie.
it could be,
That
yeah.
gag is like in every movie.
Well, they did a
Um,
lot of like stuff where they still wanted to appeal to children, I think, in some fashion. So it was like there was a lot of genital coverage. Like I remember the opening scene of Austin Powers is like going through that hotel, getting his bits covered up by various accoutrements and wait staff
yeah,
around the hotel. We got to
yeah.
actually start talking about real stuff, though, huh?
This is just bizarre to me that
It's
this
really
exists. Like
strange.
some weird, like Palm Pilot esque, like licensed Austin Powers game on the Game Boy.
You're living the life. Uh,
Yeah,
it is a simulation of a computer of Doctor Evil, the antagonist of the Austin Power series, is what that says. Few
if
mini
you
games
weren't aware.
included, such as the Mojo Maze, and a digitized version of Rock Paper Scissor, and a motorbike racing game. It features customizable backgrounds, themes, sounds, screensavers, a movie clip, along with calculator and simulated internet with information of the Austin Powers films and actors.
Amazing.
I can't.
Did you want to learn more about all the actors in Austin Powers?
Yeah, well, I guess at it. I mean, I feel like we had the internet in 2000. Yeah, we definitely did. So it wasn't. I don't know. It's weird that they would put this up, but anyway, let's. I can't. I could talk about this for a lot longer, but I feel like it was.
Join us on our spin-off podcast where we talk about the Austin Powers Game Boy Color games in full detail.
We really should just start doing a second show because this seems to be how all of these are going to start. Is
Yeah,
dude, who's
just
Vincent
fucking around
Carter?
talking
Is this
about.
where you keep all your
Uh,
sneaky YouTubes?
nobody can see. Nobody can see this.
Oh,
This is my older account.
oh, okay.
I'm not having this on the podcast right now. I'm trying to find your channel to pull up some fucking gameplay.
And you're not subscribed on every
Uh,
single one of those? Wow, dude. Wow, dude. You don't
okay,
even support your
yeah.
channel, dude.
Hold on. Yeah, when we're done here, I'll go back and I'll inflate your numbers for you. It's
Something
cool.
tells me that you
We'll,
won't, but that's
we'll
all
do
right.
that. So yeah, what you kind of want to start with here? You got kind of a list of things going on.
Yeah, I'll start. Okay, I'll start with Hotshots because I feel like I'll rant about that the longest. Um, this game's a bad game. It's gotten really positive reviews. I'm not sure how that's happening. Maybe for some reason I got sent a broken version of the game. But it is in practice it's not bad, but the racing itself is not good. Like, so basically how it works is the rubber banding on these AI vehicles is absolutely bananas. Like, they're at some point in this video I'll even demo it, but basically I was in first the entire race. To test this, I was like, okay, well, I'll save up all the boosts I get and I'll burn all of them in a row and just see how far I get. And within a second, that guy was right behind me again. So it seems like I think what it's doing is it's trying to inflate the intensity of the racing by having it seem like there's always vehicles right there with you at all times. But what it does is just really frustrate the experience because the cars also don't really act like you're there. They sort of like bump into you at all times. Like, as you can see here, they're just like bumping and kind of moving you around, and they're sort of like not really paying attention to the fact that you're there. Like that car,
Yeah,
just, and again, here it's just more of the same.
Like a traditional like Burnout or something a little more arcadey.
Uh,
The AI at least pretends that you're kind of there in those games.
well, yes. The difference being with Burnout is like the rubber banding in that game is like by design. Like, and it's only in some missions where it'll be like, in the hunted missions where like there's cars trying to knock you out, they'll rubber band or come
Yeah.
out of nowhere to hit you, or ones where you have to kill like X amount of cars or whatever it is. But those are like with that idea in mind, so that's why it's happening. Because in that sense, yeah, it would be really boring if you had to chase every single car to take out. Whereas here, that's not the case, and every car is like solid, so it's just like super frustrating because you just get bumped continually. Yeah,
So
like
is there a
here we
is
go.
there a
So
button?
this is the
Yeah.
4 boost section. So that's my first one, second one, third, so on. I think I had to do like a hard turn or something and then do a third, but not a bad turn by any means. There's that. So then you look, there's the car still, and then
Okay.
right here he's gonna hit me again because it did nothing. So it's just like, and this is on normal mode. This is not like a difficulty increase. This is like the base game, which I finished all 4 cups, and it was the exact same throughout the entire experience. What makes it worse is when you get to medium setting or whatever, now it's the same thing, but these cars are like directly in front of you at all times. Then when you get to expert mode, they're gone. Like, you don't ever see them. You also don't get any vehicle upgrades or any kind. Every car that starts in the game is the same throughout. They don't upgrade or anything like that. Every driver has every car unlocked, and all of the cars are like their stats are identical mostly. Like, each person basically has one car that matches someone else's car in stat wise or something. So there's no real difference other than like it's like power, drift, and boost, I think maybe are the 3 things or something like that. And I also picked like this was more balanced on the handling boost side, and then like, but it was still like in the top 3 of cars with top speed. So it wasn't like I was picking one that was predominantly slower than the others just to make sure. But even like then, like you notice there, I'm like grinding straight into a car. It's not moving at all, and it's just going forward as if I'm not even present. And it's frustrating as fuck. So I had a comment on YouTube too. Some guy was like, "It's not the rubber banding, it's the slipstreaming in the game is really intense." And it's like, okay, well, either way, the cars are doing this no matter what. So it's like, even if the slipstreaming is super insane, it still looks like rubber banding on the outside. And even still, if I were to boost 4 ahead, how would it stay in the slipstream and then also gain boost from a slip or 4 boost continually? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. And then
Well, it
again,
feels like the AI is like artificially trying to catch up to you in a way. But I was curious about that because you can look behind you. So if you're like on a straightaway, like I don't know. And
they
also,
just are, oh, go ahead.
is there like automatic and standard options in the game? Like, can you do one or the other?
Like automatic or manual, you mean?
Or manual? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Because typically with some racing games, you get a little bit more speed out of like doing a manual. But
Yeah, well, I
I
mean, if you look
wonder.
at this though, I've been in 6th gear this entire race, so it's like it's an arcade racer. So at a point, it's not gonna make a difference.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm curious if there's any other explanation for that because that does seem very odd that
yeah,
a game like of this like because I've heard a lot of good things about this game, but for it to be like as widely regarded, but that issue is prevalent, that just seems a little
that's what
bizarre
I'm
to me.
saying. Is it seems really weird. Now, if you were to just play this with 8 buddies, then it's probably fine. Like it's probably totally fine. But if you're
Yeah.
playing it with all the AI, it's extremely frustrating. And then there's a couple different modes. There's another one called like Cops and Robbers, and that one is more similar to Burnout. But the cars are all have like life bars and stuff. And then when you take one out, it becomes a cop, I guess. So you're basically trying to knock out every single car to become police officers, I guess. You're trying to deputize all of them or whatever. But think of it as this racing, but you're just now trying to hit every single person, and it's like it compounds every bad game design aspect of this game into one mode. And again,
Yeah.
friends, it might be great. I don't know, but as the single player experience of this game is insanely frustrating. So
Yeah, I see that slipstream is fucking crazy.
yeah, and again, it feels much like rubber banding. And it could be the slipstream is the caveat or the part of it, but either way, like in most racing games, like when you get out in front and it becomes almost like a time trial at that point where you're just like, how if I'm already in the lead, how can I make this lap the best? Like that never happens in this game. I've never been like there was an achievement for finishing a second ahead of the car behind me, and that only happened because I boost like on the very last straightaway as soon as I saw the finish line. And I think that's like kind of telling, I guess, is that achievement is even in there because it's mainly
Yeah.
saying you're never going to be away from your opponents effectively. Um, and uh, and yeah, it's just frustrating. Because if we then move to I'll say one more thing too. I guess it was initially named something called Apex Racing or Racing Apex or something like that. And
Yeah.
apparently it is that game with everything that they were planning to do stripped out of it, and basically the racing is left behind. And that game looked way more ambitious and more interesting, and I think it was initially going to be a VR title too. Because
Did it have the same art style kind of
I
this like
believe so. Yeah,
90s?
you could probably pull it up. I think it's
Yeah.
called Racing Apex, but yeah. So it's that was yeah. I guess this would be it here. But I already like this better. Like this looks more in line with those games, I guess. Not to say that the art style in that and Hot Shots looks bad.
Well,
But
no, this is, with the camera down like that and everything, yeah, it looks a little more in line
yeah, just
with
it
one of
looks
those
more
older
like a
racing
proper
games.
arcade game. But yeah, from what I understand is like they had more ideas in this one. There's like some combat too at certain styles of track, like with power ups and some other stuff, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
Car damage,
I'll
I
also
guess.
say though,
You know.
is that like those original like Sega arcade racers are fucking hard. fucking
Yeah.
hard. Like,
Well, they're designed to be difficult. They want you to spend money on them at an arcade. Like they don't want you to beat them. And so I get it.
yeah.
Um,
Um, I mean, the art style looks cool. That's just a shame that some of the mechanics are kind of not there. But I bet with multiplayer, yeah, you're right. It probably would be a fun experience.
yeah, with everyone being a normal person, it's probably great. I'll move into the Inertial Drift because that came out the day after this, and it to me is a much better racing game, which I think is right there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So this is also an arcade racer. It's I'd say it's kind of a mix between, if you remember, like Automodelista. It's kind of similar to Automodelista and like Need for Speed Carbon. So it's like it's more. This one's definitely more drift based, and there's no. Every opponent is a ghost opponent. So the game is designed around you doing time trials more or less, or beating whatever time they've set out. So it makes you learn the tracks and the vehicles way more intimately than than really any other racing game I've played that I can think of really in recent memory. The way that it works is like your left stick is for slight adjustment left and right. Your right stick is how you swing the tail end of your car out to drift. So
Okay.
it's a twin stick racer, which is really interesting already. But
It's
the way,
cool.
yeah, it's super neat. And then in that, every car type will also play differently. So for like this one, the first two cars you start with are done just that way. It's like the lighter that you move out, the smaller your drift is, and it'll get more as you put the stick out. And that's what that yellow bar on the bottom represents. That's like, I believe is drift angle or percentage of drift, and then that red one I believe is how much it's slowing you down by how much drift you're doing. I think is what's happening. But you're never gonna stop while you're drifting. It's not a brake, but it does, affect just your overall speed or whatever. So yeah, so by that there's the starter cars are like pretty straightforward. What gets crazier though is like the next, I think it's the B tier one. It's not every B tier vehicle, but the next like one they give you the story for is like the way that one works is you slowly drift out as you hold the stick in that direction, and then when you let go of the gas, you'll then get like reach your your full extent of the drift that you've put on the stick, and then if you hit the brake, you'll straighten out completely. So basically, it's like you'll turn a corner and then hit it, and then you'll just straighten out and keep going. And then the third car type that the story provides is like insanely different. That one, like you basically are preloading the turn, and then you're pulling on the trigger more or less. It's almost like you're flicking the stick at like how much you'd want it to be, and then you'll hit and then you'll hold on the gas and sort of let go or hold on to sort of then like lock in the fact you're drifting in this angle. And that one's really strange. It's like super hard to use that car. But having gone through and finished all the story stuff with all the vehicles, and I think I'm like 3 achievements from finishing that game completely, but I've done all the story stuff and all that. It's insanely difficult at a point, but like it's one of the most rewarding racing games I've ever played, because it really does feel like, damn, I did do everything as flawlessly as I possibly could. And by virtue of like turning like a needle width between you and a wall and drifting around it flawlessly feels incredible. Like it, just because it's like, I don't know, it's just that idea of like, you've always like drifting in a lot of racing games is hit or miss. Like sometimes it feels really good, sometimes it feels insanely loose, like it's whatever. This one is like so tight and precise that it makes you, it's finally actualizing what you feel like you did in every other drifting game but never quite got. This one is like you're doing it.
Just watching this footage, I can like feel the snappiness, kind of like it does look like a really rewarding driving system. Seems really neat.
It's incredible. And yeah, and then by virtue of everything being a ghost, like you're not bumping into other cars, you're not doing all that, so it's like mainly.
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah, no, it's all just down to your precision and understanding of the vehicle you're driving, and then the map that you're on. And a lot of the courses get really intricate later on. Like you're really having to like turn. Yeah, okay. So this is the second car. So if you'll
But real
see,
quick,
yeah,
is there any multiplayer or
yes, yeah,
anything
there
in
is.
this?
There's basically a
But everything
leaderboard
is
for
Ghost.
everything in the game. Like all
Okay.
the story stuff, all the missions. Each course has one behind it. There's also a challenge mode, but there is online multiplayer and co-op stuff like that.
But
I
that's all ghosts in
um
the
I
co-op and stuff.
that one I don't know because I haven't had anybody to play with, so I haven't tried the multiplayer stuff.
Okay.
From what I understand, I think that mode is maybe two actual people, but you might both be invisible though. You might still just be racing one another. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on this one, as you'll see, it's like you'll go around the corner, then as soon as I hit the brake, it just straightens right again. So it's like it's just a way. It feels completely different, but still very familiar. And I think every car in the game does. Like they all feel really their own beast. And even in that, some of the ones will have like sort of a mixed variant between the first two, where it's like it's easier to do the drift in and out, but it will straighten up when you hit the brake. But it'll also like it's just there's I think 16 cars in total, and they all are different. Like at least different enough. So yeah, it's incredible. I'm excited to see what else they do to it because they've been pretty vocal about wanting to add
Yeah.
more stuff to it. And yeah, when you compare the two, it was like I got the most frustrating racing game I've ever played, and then I got the most rewarding one the next day. So it was like it was really like a a night and day difference. And
I'll
goddamn,
say
it's a fun game to play.
I do like this trend of like more indie racing games because I think racing games in general have kind of been like almost shielded by AAA in like later years. Like there
Yeah.
are some indie racing games, but I feel like they're becoming a lot more prevalent now.
Well, it's because
Um,
every major console has to have one. Like it's how you show the graphics, and it has. I mean, it's starting. We're starting to get diminishing returns on that because it's like how good can you make a car look? Like how real can a car look?
yeah,
But yeah, you'll notice
new
it's like
Gran Turismo though.
what's
Yeah,
that?
that new Gran Turismo does look pretty fucking good.
Sure, we'll see it in the next 12 years. Yeah, if they do anything like they did the last Gran Turismo, it'll take 8 years to
Yeah.
make and not be that great. But yeah, I don't know. It's we need more kart racers too. The PC has a severe lack of kart racing games. We have I think Sonic Racing Transformed is still the best one we have. And it's good. I mean, it's
Uh,
good. Team Racing sucked. The one before it though, Transform, great kart game. But
let me uh
yeah.
let, let me introduce you to a really good kart game. Came out
Did
on the Instant
Oh
Four.
yeah, here we go. Go ahead.
Developed by Rareware.
Yep.
It is probably the best game on the system.
Uh-huh.
It's Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I've not heard of that one. What do you do in that one?
So in Diddy Kong Racing, you have you not only have a cart, but you have a hovercraft and you have a plane.
Yeah.
And there's these boss races. Whiz Pig, that's the main boss. He's a big pig,
Mhm.
big
Yeah.
wizard. He's a kind of a bad guy.
I sort of gathered that by his name being Whiz Pig. I kind of figured he might be a wizard who's a pig. Just a guess.
you get
It'd
these
be weirder if
golden,
he was like a rhino or something. Go ahead.
yeah. You get these golden balloons. You do
Uh-huh.
time trials. If you do all the time
Oh.
trials and get the medals, you can unlock the TT, the clock, and you can race as him.
Yeah.
There's also a unlockable character, chicken named Drumstick.
Okay.
Very cool game.
Now,
That is the best racing
let
game.
me
I've
introduce you to Sonic Racing Transformed. Now, say that you were Danica Patrick of F1 Stardom, or perhaps
played. Fuck, that's right. Holy
any
shit.
of the Team Fortress guys, or perhaps Shinobi, or maybe you would want to be Shimu driving an arcade machine that turns into a boat and an airplane in the same race. What about that, maybe? And then you have
Yeah,
power-ups
you got me.
that are Hornets from Sonic. That's pretty good. What if you shot missiles out of your car and you hit other cars? Or say you shot a missile out and you hit the guy from Football Manager.
Shinmu.
Or perhaps Shinmu.
You're kidding?
No. It's like Sega
He's-
All-Stars, dude. It's got Jet Set Radio characters in it. It's got all the monkeys
but
in
it
it.
really has a football manager character.
Yes. You're driving like a Cadillac that has footballs for wheels, and you're just like a guy in a suit. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Go ahead. There you go. This guy
There's
didn't even have half the
Ray.
characters. But yeah, or you could be the guy from Knights. And yeah, so here's how it starts. Because now that's the guy from Rome Total War. He's there for no reason. And then you have Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph. I forgot he's there too. That's
Why
right.
am I just remembering? I remember there were like a bunch of Sega characters in this game. Like
Yeah.
I know that they went for that angle with this game, but I did not fucking realize that
Yeah,
they
dude.
took one
It's
from. Is
awesome.
Alex Kidd in this game?
Yes.
Uh, are you?
No, and then
Alex Kidd
there's the
really
Team
in the
Fortress spy right there. You can see his little icon going around, but they have every Team Fortress character. When you transform into a different vehicle, you get a different Team Fortress character. So it's like the boat has one, the car has one, and then the plane has one. And then, yeah, Ryu, that's him from Shenmue's there. And then there's like II from Super Monkey Ball. And that's
Yeah.
that's
They
the other
just
reason
go
why
back to
people were
this-
like, "Oh, Team Sonic Racing sucks ass" because it's just Sonic characters, whereas this was like every Sega character you could think of, and it's a really good video game.
Oh my god!
As
Hold
far-
on, I do.
Yeah,
Okay, so-
Beady Joe from Crazy Taxi. That's another good one. You've got Shadow the Hedgehog if you want to be as cool as you can be, and then
Yeah.
let's see, Danica Patrick right there, big at the bottom.
I remember that. Amigo from the
Ooh La La
Sonic
from Space
game.
Channel.
Yeah, yeah. Vise? Who the fuck is Vise?
He is from Skies of Arcadia.
Arcadia?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Gum.
Dr. Ivo, Eggman, Robotnik. Okay, Knights. Gum.
Joe Musashi.
Yeah, there's Joe Musashi right there. That's from Shinobi, right?
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah, Shinobi. Okay. God damn, dude. They really fucking why did this like fly by me? Like why didn't I
Dude, it's awesome. I still play that game to this day because we have no better racing game. For a kart game, I mean, because we still don't have Crash Team Racing on the PC. This is the best we have, and that's not saying that this is a bad game because
Did Crash Team Racing not come out on PC?
it's the only remaster we haven't gotten. We got Spyro and we got Crash 1, 2, and 3, but we didn't get Racing.
Yeah, I have CTR on the Switch, and if those 4K Switch rumors are true, if they upres that game, oh my god, that's
Yeah.
Crash Team Racing is a damn good kart game.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a great game. I remember loving it. And again,
yeah.
on the PC, we have a severe lack of it, and most racing doesn't even try to do it. We got like F1 Race Stars, and that was whatever, but that was a kart racing game that didn't have drift in it. So what are you doing? And
But
then,
you forgot about the Garfield kart racing on Steam.
oh no, I didn't.
That was a smash hit.
No, I didn't forget. I just didn't mention it because it's a poorly put together video game. The
One man's opinion, I guess.
yeah, I tried the first one. Now the second one may be fantastic. I don't know, but the first one, not
Arguably
great.
almost better than Diddy Kong Racing. Arguably.
Wow, you
Almost.
really?
I
Wow.
would never say that, but
Sure you wouldn't. But yeah, I can't speak highly enough of Sonic Racing. It's probably, honestly, it's my favorite Sonic game. Hands down.
all right. I can respect that.
And I think Generations is good though. But anyway, this is okay. So this is BPM, bullets per minute. This is a super interesting roguelike game. I played a shitload of roguelikes this week. That's basically all I play every week. But I've played a lot of we had a lot of interesting ones this week. But yeah, this is, so it's Doom by way of Crypt of the Necrodancer, effectively. So all of your movement is not in tune. Like you can move freely without being in tempo, and you can also use your sprint boost. You get better points if you boost within the tempo, like if you dodge inside of it. But you can only fire and reload the gun on beat. There's also a mode you can play where you can only move on that, but it's incredibly jarring because it's like every enemy sort of, you have to really know where every enemy is going to make that happen, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, it's really weird at first, just because obviously you're used to, everything has to really line up, right? Like you gotta be able to shoot on the beat, and they also attack on the beat as well generally. as you'll notice, like with the tempo bar in the middle, like certain icons will come up, which is basically like, hey, you should jump at this point, or hey, go dodge to that direction because an attack is coming from the other way. Which I didn't actually really notice that until later. After I'd like finished the game, I was like, oh, well, actually, when I was doing this review and putting it up, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was what was happening. But yeah, it's super good. It's really strange. It's another one of those games where I can't wait to see the second one. Also, that frame rate stuff is just in the recording. That's not indicative of the game. It ran really well the whole time. I'd say the major caveat I have with this game is if you do intend to play it, you'd have to turn the saturation on every level down to like 50% because it's absolutely buck wild. Like it's super hard to see. I also saw a lot of people saying they were getting headaches from it, which I think because of the way that the color palette is almost all similar, especially like on the last or second to last level. It's like it's red and gray, and all the enemies are like red or black and like a little orangey, so everything kind of really blends together if you don't turn the saturation off or down anyway.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I think you can turn off is like when you start to get into action, the screen will also kind of pulsate with the music, and I think that coupled with the saturation is what was giving people headaches, because I was starting to get kind of a light one, and then I turned that off and it was fine. But yeah, and then so there's also random abilities you'll find. Generally, after you beat the game once, you'll get your second ability, and then you find different ones throughout the game. There's also different like stage, overall stage changes. Like it'll be like one is like every enemy drops gold, which is a huge one, and there'll be one where every enemy drops bombs, stuff like that. There's like kind of random modifiers for the stages themselves, or the overworld for each stage or whatever. And then yeah, it's a little weird to watch this too because the music is really important, obviously, because it is all based on that, so it's hard to kind of get. It just looks like a shooter here, but yeah, it's one I wish they had a demo for, because I think it's like you really need to play it to feel like what's happening and to know if you want to play it at all. Like I think it would really benefit from having like a short demo out there, because it is. I also noticed a lot of people complaining about the difficulty, but I finished it, I think, my third time through it. And it's not too bad. It could have been I got lucky with the RNG stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
But
So I guess a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are the stages like random? Like, is everything like kind of like is it like almost like a gunfire where like a lot of the rooms are kind of the same, but they're like in different placements with each run, or is it all pretty the same as you go through it?
No, there. So if you look at the top left in that map, it's kind of like hidden now because there's like enemies in the room or whatever.
Yeah.
But you'll notice that there's like different. Yeah, so it'll come into play. There's like different random rooms. There's like a bank, a library, armory, a shop, and stuff like that. They won't all show up though. Like you won't always have those. And then the layout is randomized, and then the rooms themselves are generally randomized. Actually, after I'd finished the game, there was like a room that came up that I'd never seen before. But there'll be rooms like this, like the challenge room. The enemies that will spawn will be random, but the room design itself is going to always be this. So I think the randomness comes down to more of like where everything is placed, and then the enemies inside.
Yeah.
But the structure of the rooms seem to be pretty stagnant.
The enemies, do they also kind of attack on the beat as well?
The bosses definitely do. Like they're more in tune with the music, so that it's a little different at first. The enemies are more they do, but I think they can either do on or off beat. Like if you notice, the tempo has like the mid beat as well, that like smaller I don't know if there's a proper name for it in musical terms, but there's like the beat is the larger triangle, the mid beat is like the smaller one. So they can kind of move in between both. So they're a little more dexterous than you would think. But that's where moving outside of beat is like necessary. Like again, that's why that mode where it's not on is like really difficult. But that's like a bonus mode. I don't think the game was intended to be played that way. It's just they threw in like 5 or 6 different bonus ways to play the game, I guess. So yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, really neat.
I want to check that out.
It's like $20.
Did you know, by the way, I guess while we're on the subject of this game, did you know that Harmonix had a shooter rhythm game that was kind of in like a beta?
Uh, are you talking about All Roads Lead Nowhere or something? Oh no, this is no.
Yeah, so this was like Harmonix trying like a rhythm shooter a few years ago. So when I heard that this game was coming out and getting like positive buzz on it, I was like, huh, like I wonder
Is
if
this a
like Harmonix was
multiplayer
kind of
game?
onto something. Yeah, this was a multiplayer like rhythm shooter.
That's fucking crazy. I don't know if I could handle that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems neat, but like I said, it's like maybe they could have tapped into something ahead of that game. But yeah, that new game does kind of have like a Doom aesthetic. This one has more of like that futury kind of like Tron look to it almost.
Yeah,
Uh,
man, I can't. I feel like the main issue I have is just how big that thing is in the middle of the screen. Like, I guess if everyone's
yeah,
dealing with it, that's fine. But it is like it's pretty wild. Uh, do you also play it with a rock or with a guitar?
no, it just I think it's left click, right clicks,
Oh,
or
oh,
like the
sure,
triggers.
yeah.
I'm fairly certain this was only in beta for like the PC, but yeah.
I could see that being
Um,
cool though. I mean, yeah, I mean that's well, that's kind of the other thing is like I feel like BPM is more of a proof of concept than anything else, and that's why I kind of would like to see um, a second one or if they add stuff to it. Mainly because like the music may be the weakest part because it is good, like the songs are good, but there's only a song per stage type, so it's like you're gonna hear those same like four songs forever, and that's maybe
okay.
like at a point you don't really notice it anymore. It's kind of like you just kind of get into the rhythm of the game, so it you sort of it goes to the background a little bit. But I wouldn't hate some more variety. I don't have the review of that game up yet, Redneck Ed. Um, and it's coming up soon. I think I'm gonna redo the review I did of it. I don't like that game still at all, though. It's
Do you want to give it just like maybe a few like your 1 minute hot take on
oh
this
yeah,
game
yeah.
ahead of your video?
Sure, it's bad. So there you go. No, it's like I like the art design, which is initially why I asked for a key for it so I could check it out. Like I like the art design of it. I think the art is good. I think the animation stuff looks good. But the game itself is very like I don't know. It's sort of like a boss rush thing where you're only fighting like bosses on each stage, more or less, or like there'll be like a few where it's like a wave of something. So you're not. I was under the impression more so that you're like going through environments and checking stuff out, but you're on a static stage every time where you're just like fighting whatever set creatures they send you. And the animations in the game, I would say, aren't as good either. Like there's a lot of like missed animations when you're fighting enemies. You can't always tell that they just hit you or that you're hitting them or that you're taking damage or like um it just doesn't map out great. The combo system stuff too, you'll yeah, like it's just I think they wanted this art style so bad they sort of decided to not focus on they
Ooh,
wanted that
yeah.
to be implemented more than they cared about it actually functioning properly maybe
Yeah,
and
that wind up on that attack is like bad.
it's really long and that's for the strong attack so that's like you know whatever but it is like pretty egregious and then there's like some enemies like there's like one enemy that you'll hit and it'll knock to the ground but it immediately rolls forward and just attacks you in that roll so it's like you won't always notice that it happens. There's another boss I was fighting that like I he blocked every attack for the first like 3 minutes of the fight and then it turned out at some point if you and there's like some other stage dynamic that makes it seem like you're supposed to hit him with that but what turns out you're doing is just waiting for him to open up like you have to run away from him to where he puts his guard down and then turn back
Yeah.
somewhat quick enough to then just hit him in the front like you know 800 times and call it or whatever but you also again by virtue of the animation stuff like when they're you can't really tell when they're staggered or when they're about to hit because those animations look almost exactly the same or look exactly the same so it's like the tells on it. It's asking you for precision that you're not given enough reads to be able to tell. I think,
Yeah.
um, and Yeah, I don't care for it, man. I tried to play a good bit of it. I made it to the second stage and started working through that, and
Yeah.
just
Like,
fell.
hey, I'll say like, even like with indie games, we have like a big respect for developers, Kelly and I.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think some criticism goes a long way for some small developers. Like, not like we're trying to fucking like be dickheads about things, but yeah, when
Yeah.
you say something like art or like style over mechanics, like that's never good for a game.
No, and it and it
Uh,
and it just sucks because I would think like this could have been a super rad like mini series or something. Like you could have made like a pretty cool YouTube show or tried to pitch it to Cartoon Network or something like that. But like as a game, it just doesn't play well. This
it,
boss was
you
also
know
really
what you
frustrating because you could only really hit him by jumping on these things, but he's never quite in the right area. And it's not like those things are hard to dodge either, so it's not really like a difficulty thing. It's just like, and then those things will just burn you at all times, and so it's sort of like I don't know. It's like even when you get the attacks on him, you either have to attack him long enough for him to move or fall right down through fire again. Like it's just nothing ever really flows in the game. Like it always feels very stiff and sort of like unthought out, I guess, maybe in the way that the mechanics are sort of set up. It's sort of like you looked at bosses from other games and go, okay, well this boss does like a fire from the side and then he drops bombs. So this one's got to drop bombs. And they got to do it in a
yeah.
pattern because we're used to like it feels very like formulaic, but like without any of the flow of games that have that kind of stuff. Or I don't know, and like yeah, I don't know. It's not a great game, and it's a shame because I like the way it looks quite a bit, and
I do like that effect in there where you're hitting an enemy and like the skulls kind of coordinate to the amount of hits left until you need to kill them.
yeah,
That's kind of
which is a
cool.
nice telegraph. Granted, it does have a health bar at the top, but it is kind of nice to
Yeah,
know
yeah.
when you're
Well,
looking right at it. You're not always paying attention
yeah,
to that. The thing is, I
yeah.
wish you had one because your health is so much harder to tell. Like sometimes you won't even flash when you've been hit, so you'll just like die and like you won't really notice that it's happened. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just it doesn't feel very good to me. It maybe other people will love it, but it's just not my game. Um, you don't really have to look up Wreckfest. I don't think they basically just they started their season 2. They've put out new cars. I
Yeah, I'm
think
just playing the trailer for the
yeah,
video's sake.
yeah, that's fair. But yeah, new cars, and then they start. This is starting off their second season of content of like weekly. I guess
Yeah,
it's like daily and weekly challenge stuff, and then like an overall monthly thing, and then they'll have yeah. So there's a few more tracks, and then there's a I think what was the other thing? Yeah, there's like generally a vehicle that is tied to it. So once you do all the daily stuff, you'll get a currency, and then you can unlock the the big car for that section of stuff. It's usually like the season lasts quite a while, but it's usually like every week or two they have a different vehicle. And I think you can still buy the ones from the first season too with that same currency because it's still the same deal. But Wreckfest is still super fun. It's a really good racing game. Super fun to play. Really fun to play with a bunch of people. I would say if you've never played Wreckfest, the way to play this game online is to not be mad that you're not winning and like just accept that it's nonsense and you should enjoy the nonsense because it's like every map you're gonna be frustrated because there's like man there's fucking guys driving buses backwards. I'm trying to fucking race and it's like yeah but don't worry about that. Just enjoy the insanity of all of it and you kind of honestly, after playing it a lot, you really want someone in every race to do that. To like drive backwards or drive some stupid vehicle or try and take everybody out just because it's makes it even more chaotic and silly. I'll say too, the season pass has 12 cars in it at some point. Like they put 3 out already. But it's like $10. So I mean, it's good if you like that game. It's
yeah.
pretty fair price. And the season stuff has been pretty fun. The challenges have been pretty neat for the most part. So very good video
Cool.
game.
Yeah, check that out if you're into the racing stuff. I
Yeah.
heard Wreckfest was pretty good. I know that it kind of had a rocky launch from what I remember, but I remember people pretty much
Yeah.
digging that game.
Well, it was initially called Next Car Game, and then they changed the name to Wreckfest, and then And yeah, I'm still surprised we're seeing updates with it, to be honest, but the player base is still pretty solid. And it's a great racing game. It's really fun. Like the actual races feel really good, and then the combat racing of just demoing cars is a blast. I can't speak highly enough of that game as far as since we've had 3 racing games on the list today. If you're in the market for a racing game, that's a good one if you've never played it.
So yeah, I guess we'll touch on this just right quick. PAX
Sure.
is doing kind of this PAX Online thing. This is the Steam page that I have open right here, but they got a bunch of demos up.
Yeah.
I think
And
we're gonna
this will
roll
be
through.
going up on the 18th, so you'll have 2 more days of demos once that goes up if you want to keep looking at them.
Yeah, it says
continue,
the
sorry.
12th through the 20th on here. Is that just like the panels and stuff, or the demos expiring on the 18th?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but a lot of times, some demos will stay, but most of the time they do stuff like this that'll be like limited time demos. Like
Okay, I got you.
the idea would be like if you were at the show floor playing it, you can now just
Yeah.
play it at your house or whatever.
Cool.
But there's been some really good ones. What was it? What did we play? Alien Hominid?
Yeah, I'll touch on Alien Hominid right quick. I'll actually put up some footage of that game real fast. I like this game a hell of a lot. Compared to the original Alien Hominid anyway. I think they're onto something here with this one. To be quite honest with you. The original, it's like your typical like side scroller, like kind of shooter game. It's one of those. It's like your Metal Slug, but a little more dumbed down, kind of the like comic booky, like flash animation style of like Dan Paladin from Newgrounds fame. And yeah, I'm pretty sure like everybody, at least like the creative side from the original game, is involved in this one, but it's like pretty much a reboot of that original game. It's going in the way of like their more recent games, like your Battle Block Theater, your Pit People, where like instead of like the singular alien like design that you're playing as, you unlock like several different skins, colors. For the alien, you also have like a pretty robust like weapon unlock system as you're playing the game. And what you're seeing here is like
Heads are like the heads are an item themselves, so you'll change like your alien's head that has different stats on it and all that stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, go ahead.
goofy stuff too. And Pit People was a lot like that. I can't stand saying Pit People as fast as possible.
Sure.
But Pit People had like a lot of that like aesthetically pleasing, like cool looking armor that had like some of the stat buffs on it. This has like this overworld here where you can like see different icons on the map, and you can kind of plot your course to unlock certain things along the way. I haven't quite gotten to the end of the map yet, so I don't quite know what happens there.
I have finished it. If you're
Yeah,
curious. Yeah. So it's basically like you'll keep going, and then a boss stage happens, and then once you finish the boss, as far as the demo goes, you just revert back to the beginning, but your progress stays. So like your overall alien level, and then all the weapons and stuff you found stay with you. So I imagine in the final game it'll be that same idea, but you'll just keep going.
Yeah.
To the next stages and stuff. Last boss was like kind of tricky. In general, it was like more similar to. Well, actually, I guess what I'll say too is it seems like all the levels, even when you go back to the very first one after you finish the game, because of your character's level, it seems like the intensity of all the levels goes up. So it's like I think your level blankets the areas with difficulty, because it was like much more difficult that first stage than it was the first time I went through it. And I think it just ramps up based on your level overall, which was nice to see. I think the only major criticism I'll have with this is if I'd like to see some more objective types in each level.
Yeah.
Because if it's always the same like 5, it might get a little boring quicker. But as far as the actual gameplay, yeah, it's super fun, and I want to see more out of it just to know. But what's there
For
already
sure.
is pretty enjoyable.
So when you
Really,
beat
I
the
wish it was in early access now, so I could just start going through it. But
Who knows? They might end up doing that. Pit People was a early access game, and I think that was healthy for them to take a lot of that feedback and criticism. So, but Pit People was like pretty far in development by the time it was in early access. I think it had like a very quick early access to 1.0 turnaround.
Yeah.
Um, so who knows? They might do that. My biggest kind of complaint. So you beat the city area of this, and after that, the demo
Mhm.
ends. Right? There's not like a second area of
No,
the
so it
game.
ends, and then it has you ask you if you want to do a survey to fill out for them, which I did to give them like feedback, stuff like
Yeah.
that, and then yeah, it starts you back at that first stage, and then but like I said, your level and all the stuff you've gathered and all your items and stuff stay. So anything you've unlocked or whatever stays with you, so you can like I got like 5 or 6 colors out of it, like for aliens or whatever, alien skin colors, and then a bunch of heads and guns and shit. So then I swapped them around and then started another playthrough.
Yeah, well, because I was going to say if it's anything like the original Alien Hominid, my biggest complaint here is just the variety of the enemies, but I think that's just by virtue of them being in this one area. In the second game, I think like the second area you get to is like a Russian, like kind of like winter wonderland. There's a lot of like kind of unique enemies that you fight there. Eventually, I think you fight like some kind of robots at some point in the game. There's a bunch of
There,
variety in that original game.
I will say
Um,
there was like 12 or 15 types already that I saw because as like I said, as it ramped up, more armored ones were showing up as well. There's also certain nodes on the map that will have like an influx of armored enemies or like a wave of
mhm.
or like a mob or something. I can't remember what
Yeah,
they used
what
for it
I'm really
was.
talking about are like these filler enemies that you see here. Like
Yeah.
I think some of the attacks and like some of the uniqueness of those enemies get a little more. They should, if anything, if it's anything like the first game, they should like every area should feel pretty wholly unique.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
and I love that
Yeah,
they
because there
brought the
was
little
also
kid back.
like what was it, like robot dogs I think showed up. There was like a helicopter, there was an aircraft carrier, there was like a bunch of other like
Yeah.
weirder mini boss almost creatures that came in also. But yeah.
I'm just real excited to play this. Some people were a little disappointed on that original reveal because they wanted like one of those Metal Slug style like Alien Hominid type games, but I think it's cool for them to branch out and do something different. This game's going to be really fun in multiplayer.
Yeah.
The demo is unfortunately not co-op, but this is just a single player demo. But yeah, it has potential here, and I'm really looking forward to this one.
Well,
But
it didn't
that's
have online co-op, but I think it had local though, right?
yeah, it does have local. If you got
Yeah.
somebody in your house you want to convince to play with you, go ahead, do that. Oh, and then the other thing is you can't bite the heads off of the dudes that you jump on their backs in this game. In the original, you could just like chomp their heads off. There was no benefit. It was just cool and funny.
Oh, yeah. I think in this one you throw them, it seems like.
Yeah, you throw them, or you just ride them to your objective and like kind of jump off of them or whatever. But the other thing is that one thing I do like is that the weapons have different like spray patterns. Each weapon kind of has like some unique projectile stuff going on with it. And I
Yeah.
believe like the kid when you see him on the map, just like the original game, he'll give you like a small buff or like a kind of an element to your attacks.
Yeah, he
Um,
did. Yeah, well, and then because I think the gun I ended up finishing with was like a thing that shot 2 lasers, but you could charge it up for a stronger laser.
yeah.
But I used that one because it never needed reloading, so I was just like burned through it, and it had like armor penetration or something on it. But yeah, it was actually what is cool is when you switch weapons in that your like loadout screen, it'll show you a preview of the firing on it, so you get an idea
Yeah.
of what that looks like. Because there's like a bunch of different ones, so they're all kind of like hard to tell without because that's well, I guess that's not a big criticism, but I think the major thing is like all the items you find you won't unlock until you find the kid in his like base or until you beat the whole level and go to the mothership again. You won't bank any of the chest you found, so that can be kind of weird. Um, but yeah, it's cool. I think you can still change your loadout in between, but you can't if you haven't banked them, quote unquote. You won't be able to use them. But yeah, it's I'm excited, man. That seems fun. I can't wait to actually play some of that.
And
Oh yeah, my swan song right here.
yeah, this was this isn't specifically for PAX, was it? Or is this just
Yeah,
in
well, so
general?
It was, but it is also in early access now. It came out less than a month ago, so it's like I think it's just tied in with PAX because it would have been shown there already.
Yeah.
Um, I think it didn't have a demo until this weekend. Maybe is also what was going on. Um, the demo itself is of an older build, though. I found out after finishing it. However, the all the demo progress went into the game once I purchased it, which was pretty rad because I had unlocked like most of the stuff already playing through the demo, and then I just it all filtered in, which was really cool. I didn't expect that. Um, but yeah, so I would say this is basically like it's really similar to Gunfire Reborn if you were to amp the speed up by about 60-ish%. And
Oh, if we haven't said the name of the game, it's Robo
yeah.
Quest.
Yeah, Robo Quest, correct. I definitely don't think I did. I think I saw it written on screen and was like, they get it. But
Yeah.
So yeah, there's 3 classes in it. There's one that shoots like a wrist rocket, there's upgrades per. I think it's like every other level you pick like an overall upgrade kind of thing. It'll be like your wrist rocket now fires 3 darts, or anytime you fire bullets, they have a chance to explode, or they have a chance to use electricity, stuff like that. And then your other in between level will give you like overall benefit to all of your stats, or health, or your ability, or whatever. There's another character that uses drones, and you can have like 2 of those at a time. And then there's another one that's like puts a death mark on enemies, and then you're like more melee focused a little bit. It's kind of short. There's like as far as what's in there now, but like I said, it's only been in early access, not even I don't think a full month. But it has. I think like 4 stages. There's 2 different bosses I've seen so far, but those were both really unique, and I would say probably more interesting than the ones that are in Gunfire right now. There's like a driller one that goes up and down, but it's also super snappy. This is not I will say this video that we're playing is not giving a great idea of the game. I personally will be putting up a review here really shortly. I've been just kind of like trying to figure out how to show it, I guess. Because once you get some more upgrades, it becomes even faster. Because there's an upgrade that lets you jump on robots' heads, and that'll stun them. So you can sort of hop between all their heads. And then there's also grind rails that show up in the map that you can jump and grind on. So you can like, I think the only really weird thing is there's no crouch slide in this game, but the speed of the game is like way faster, especially than how this person is playing it. No offense to whoever this is. This also seems like a much earlier build too. So I don't think this is quite where the game's at right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so much fast movement. You also this is definitely the demo because this whole overworld, you have like a base. Basically, you're in a minivan traversing this environment with your partner, and so every time you get to an area, she sets up camp again, and then you kind of can do all your upgrades and other stuff like that. And yeah, man, it's really rad. There's a lot of cool different weapons. I think the art style's all done really well. It's another one where I think like it's gonna be another huge one if the funding keeps coming through. I'm like a little upset that I guess the other difference between it and Gunfire is like you're not unlocking stuff every like 8 seconds like you are in Gunfire. It's like I think by virtue one of it being over in early access, but you're sort of slowly trickling more substantial upgrades. Like one of them will be like a helmet that you can just decide to wear when you start the run that'll give you like an extra health or an extra life, I mean. Or you can pick a backpack that gets you to carry 3 guns instead of 2. Or like another one that's a jetpack, but you have to take that instead of the 3-gun backpack or whatever. So they're like more overarching like loadout picking things before you start it, I guess. But yeah, the speed of the game is super great. Like I said, this video is not the best representation for sure. But yeah, it's super fast, very snappy. It feels really good. It plays super well. Animations are all pretty good. I think the melee could use the most work because it feels a little light for how good the impact is of all the other weapons and stuff. It's like noticeably different. But yeah, I think like I said, it's on the horizon to be another really good shooting roguelike game. And yeah, I think again most of the reviews I saw too of people playing it on Steam anyway were just like, oh, it's another Gunfire, but it's a really good Gunfire. So it's like, you know, if you like that game, I think you'll find a lot to like here as well.
Yeah, I'll be jumping
But
back into Gunfire. I'm also going to try the demo of this. I think it looks really good. I know Gunfire's released a new character. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
But with early access, I'll jump in it pretty heavily when I buy it, and then
yeah,
so I don't get burnt out or anything. I kind of back off for a few months, come back after a couple major updates, see what's going on. Then I back out again, and then 1.0, I'm back,
yeah.
kind of
I
checking
will.
everything out.
I guess I'll say too. The another major difference is in this one too. Like you're more like your guns don't level up and stuff like they do in the other one. Like you can find better variants of them potentially, like with just different affixes or whatever. But this one is more like there's like categories, like it'll be like assault, precision, technology, something else. But all the guns will be color coded, so it's like the more stats that you find you can put into guns that you find instead, like it'll be like, say you have like 8 precision, and so you find a bow, which is a green weapon tuned for precision. It's better for you to pick that one than it would be probably another gun.
Yeah.
And so it's like this, it's kind of like, and there's also upgrades to those throughout that you find as well. I will say too, the bow is super satisfying because it bounces off walls and the floor, so you can
That's
like
cool.
you can shoot a bow around a corner at someone, which feels really good. Yeah, man, I can't speak highly enough. This game has been so much fun. There's not a ton of content yet, but what is there is like super solid. So
They'll get there. I'm sure they
yeah,
will.
so that's my rant about that. But I really like that game. I highly recommend it.
So I'd probably say those are like the two big demos we played. But did you have any like other quick ones you wanted to go through real quick?
Yeah, let me pull up quickly my recently played on Steam real fast. Yeah, this game called Unpacking, which is basically like, it sort of looks like Habbo Hotel, but you're basically just putting stuff in a room, but it's like really satisfying and super charming. It's I think there's no story or anything as far I can tell, but it seems like you're going through this person's life and every move they've made. But there is a set way to sort of place stuff in a room. Like there are, like the second stage, you have like a bathroom and a your bedroom, and then like a kitchen, and you're sort of just placing stuff where you see fit. There's like right and wrong ways ish to do it, but it's kind of free form. So that game was really neat. I also played what was it? Trash Sailors, which is like sort of Flame in the Flood, but co-op, and more in the idea of like, it's kind of done in the same Flapjack art style a little bit, but you're basically
Yeah,
like
yeah.
repairing and fixing this raft as you collect trash and build up your boat. But it is a
I
co-op
have
game. But
I have the
you
demo to
can
this.
play
So
it.
I'm gonna definitely try it out.
Yeah, it's neat, and the controls for a single player are really interesting because you do still get 2 characters, but you can like, if you have one character steering the boat, you'll then be able to like steer with the right and left trigger while you're controlling the other character doing other tasks or whatever. So it has a really
Mhm.
nice implementation of like playing 2 characters simultaneously. Um, let's see. I played a few other ones. This game Ramen looks really cool, but I don't think I have that worry that it's not going to have like a large player base unless it's free to play. It's RAWMEN, which is, yeah, it's like this kind of team-based shooter, but it's all based around food, and you have like a cooking pot. And you can kind of set up defenses. That's like that cracker that he has on the bottom right
It's got
like
a
a.
cool art style.
Oh, it's great, yeah, and the gameplay is really fun. I got to play one match with one person, effectively, and it was really fun. I would like to see this game do well. It seems like they put a lot of heart and effort into it. The customization stuff is really deep too, from what's in there already.
Yeah.
My worry is though, like with any multiplayer game, it's going to come out and it's not going to have a player base, and it's just going to disappear.
Dude,
Um,
we speaking of, there's one thing in news I want to talk about on that, but we'll
Sure.
get there.
yeah.
uh,
But yeah, so it's like a Bratling gun, like shoots bratwursts at people. There's like a meatball that's like a giant bomb. So it's like, all food based, but it's really fun, and I hope it takes off with people because it feels good to play. It runs really well. It's super neat. And then I think that's kind of it though for like major ones I played. There was nothing else that really like stood out as like super polished or like really like super like had to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, I'll throw this on there real quick. I played the demo for this a while ago. I think they're highlighting it in the PAX thing as well. But
Oh, is that
Ghost Runner
Ghost Runner?
actually, yeah, it actually just came out. This game, the demo was dope, and I think I think I'll end up picking this up at some point. I think it's on sale right now for like $17 at release or something. But
are you sure it's out today?
I'm fairly certain it came out. I saw it, like I got an email from Steam that was like, "Hey, this game is like out. Is it on your wish list or something?"
Now it's out the 27th of October.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm done.
$23.99.
Okay.
At the moment for the pre-order.
So it makes sense that they're highlighting this in the pack stuff. Yeah, if you haven't played the demo of this, go play it. It's like a free running, very fast paced. I'm gonna skip through some of this demo.
Well, it's sort of like a free running super hot almost.
Yeah,
like
you get like an insta death.
Yeah, and you sort of have to time out your blinks and dodges in between enemy fire. Like that's the best way I could describe it quickly. But it is like super fast paced though, like really really fast paced. You don't get the luxury of the freeze frame as much as you do in super hot, but it's pretty neat.
Yeah, this is where you kind of like come in, you like one hit kill people, but like their bullet shots can fuck you up pretty bad. So you're really just avoiding the fire, getting in, killing quick, moving as fast as possible. The grappling hook feels really good. There's some pretty cool segments that utilize that. I came away impressed with the demo for this game. I do think it's probably worth a purchase. It looks really good for like an indie almost title. So
well, yeah, it's launching at 23. I guess I wonder the length of it. I guess maybe. I mean, not that necessarily matters if the
super hot kind of had like a. It's super hot. You could move through pretty quick. I remember beating that in one sitting, but it's like the repeatability and like the challenges and stuff. And super hot just came out recently with that like pseudo sequel kind of thing.
They did.
So who knows? Yeah, I'd say if you hadn't played it, I know you've played it, but like people watching, if you haven't tried it out, give that a shot. It was pretty good. So
I guess we should say too. We totally forgot, but we played Among Us a bunch.
Yes, we did. I actually had that on my list.
Actually, do you want to take a break real fast, and then we'll talk about that and then news? Because I feel like that might be a slightly lengthier conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Two of the games that are on my list, I really want to talk about. One Among Us being one of them. So, yeah.
I didn't even see it on there. I'm sorry. I saw Kingdoms Amalur and thought that was it. My bad.
I kind of rearranged it and before or after we had already kind of gone over everything. So sorry for tripping you up.
No. You're totally fine. I couldn't believe I didn't even think about it, and I was like, oh yeah, the best game we played all week. I didn't even think about it.
I can't wait for game night. But yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Go. All right, everybody. Welcome back.
Howdy.
How you doing?
The official welcome back.
Yeah.
Hope you guys got to eat lunch and text whoever you couldn't when you left your phone in your locker. We get it. Know how it goes. But we're back to talk. Well, Christian's here to talk about some video games. I'm never going to talk again. I'm done talking.
We should definitely restart.
Why?
Shit was. I was like, oh fuck. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to this shit.
Welcome back to this episode of Austin Powers with No Emotion. I'm your host. That's right, baby. And it's my bag. Put it in me. I love sex and I'm British. I love British sex with robots the most. It's me, fat bastard. I eat chicken shit. Fuck you. Do you remember that part of the movie?
I do remember.
Where he's like, check out my tiny Mini Cooper, you dipshit. That's what Austin Powers said. He was like, "Watch me back this Volkswagen Beetle up in the hallway for 20 minutes, you piece of shit, idiot."
Fuck off, bitch.
That's what he said. And then Fat Bastard came and he was using 2 Church's chicken wings on his own belly. They were Church branded, and he was hitting. You know how chicken companies brand their chicken, right?
Yeah,
They put a little seal of
logo
approval
right on it. Yeah.
And Fat Bastard was just doing this, and he was like, "Don't you think I'm sexy? Watch me." And then he just fucking hits his shit a whole bunch.
Pouring,
and then he
boiling
farts.
hot gravy all over him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he farts.
And he farts through that. And then he farts through that too. I
Makes
think
like
every
a
one of Fat
bubble.
Bastard's scenes ends with a fart.
They all, I guarantee it. Like, there's probably a fart count of that movie out there somewhere, and it's got to be in like the high hundreds. I assume
That movie actually might be, if I think about it, it might be what a fart is. Like if you were to be able to put a fart to tape, that might be what it looks like. Because there's a lot of different sounds and all that, but at the end of the day, they're all still farts.
Yeah. Well,
that's my bag, baby.
we're back to talk some games.
Hell yeah, we're talking about video games.
Yeah,
made by British people.
Tune into our spin-off Austin Powers podcast that's coming out next week.
Yeah,
that's 100% happening actually.
Yeah, it's called British Farts the movie.com/chicken wings. Tune in next week. Don't you think I'm sexy?
Fat fuck
bastard.
Piece of shit.
That's my bag.
Biz. Yeah.
Check out my Mini Cooper, you old dildo. You remember that part of the movie?
I
when
do
he said
remember that. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
So,
all right, well, anyway, what version of Austin Powers did you play this week?
I played the version of Austin Powers where you cure like an experiment of their disease and then fight them as a giant monster the size of a house. And then umbrella helicopters show up. Yeah, I beat Resident Evil 7. The game's old enough. I might as well pull up some footage of kind of like the last moments of that game. But
I think actually we showed it last week. You're talking about the one with the big eyeball?
So that was actually the first kind of boss before you get to like a lot of the last like end stuff.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. That's right.
So yeah, this is pretty much the part where you cure old lady of the disease. You actually end up finding out this is the little girl the whole time, because her like fucking like virus or whatever that she has. This is real gross, by the way.
I
just throwing that out.
Cannot see it.
Cannot see it?
If it is on there, I cannot see it. But I believe you that it is gross. It probably looks like Fat Bastard's room. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus Christ.
Baby.
I'm
just gonna railroad all of your discussions into a talk about
perfectly fair.
Austin Powers after I've talked for 8 hours. But yeah, go ahead. So yeah, that is
this shit happens.
And that's your that's your aunt?
No, this is so when you start the game, she's the old lady at the table, and you're like kind of like being haunted by this girl Evelyn. You don't know really what's going on. You just kind of like know she's like some weirdo experiment, and it turns out because of her condition or whatever, she rapidly aged. So she's actually that like old lady in the wheelchair. And then this like homunculus starts coming out the walls. Bunch of freaky ass shit happens. All these like. This is easy though. You just shoot. I don't know why this person's running around picking up ammo and all that, but yeah, you just kind of shoot, and then eventually
each gun once, and then you change to another one.
Yeah. You just keep switching.
Man, psychedelic, baby. How do you block the hits from that? Can you block the punch to the head that the slime tree just did at you?
So eventually they just want you to back into the wall, and then like one of the hits is triggered and all that stuff happens. A lot of the like boss fights kind of have some like sequence stuff going on where like you're expected for this kind of turn of events to happen after being hit. But yeah,
I see. Okay.
The ending of the game is satisfying. It's really weird. Kind of like comes out of nowhere and comes at you real fast. But yeah, it's about the size of the whole estate, and then you just kind of gun them down. And then what I really want to get to, because this will kind of come up into play later, is after you kill that bitch, this umbrella helicopter shows up, and guess who it is? It is none other than Chris Redfield who comes
Don't
up
tell
to
me
you.
it's Austin Powers.
It is Austin. It is actually Austin Powers. Beyonce is the other guy in the background.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Which part of that monster are they going to put up his ass?
The shadow play stuff comes into play later. So
okay.
the reason I really wanted to kind of show the ending, if people, I assume a lot of people have already played and beaten it, but
okay. One pause. Is that he looks way different to me? Am I wrong?
no, it's different. I think that. So I haven't really gone into the timeline very much, but apparently this is like a while after like the stuff and events from Resident Evil 5. You have to remember this
after
is kind of like
Austin
almost.
Powers is unfrozen.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I'll stop. I swear to God, I'm sorry.
You're fine. No, so Chris Redfield shows up at the end of the game. Of course, he's the protagonist of RE5. He was also in Resident Evil 3. I believe he was in the first game too. But yeah,
I think it was the second one. I don't remember. Yeah.
Important dude. So why I bring this up is that at the PlayStation event that they kind of showed off, they played a new trailer for Resident Evil 8. And it turns out the girl that you are your wife in the first in Resident Evil 7 is killed by Chris Redfield. So no fucking clue why, and a lot of people like are kind of assuming. Just so you know, you do play as Ethan from from Resident Evil 7 in this, so it is pretty much a direct continuation. Chris Redfield kills your wife for some reason, and a lot of people are like theorizing that he's like taken over by Las Plagas, or he like kind of has some virus in him. I think it's gonna turn into like a different narrative. I kind of have a theory on it, but I kind of want more info of this game. Yeah.
So you save your wife in 7 and then he just kills her?
Ostensibly, yeah. Well, because I think this takes place much later. Because in the trailer here, they do kind of show you like her. This isn't her. But they do kind of show you like some footage of her from the back, and she does look a little older. So I'm wondering if this is like multiple years later.
Yeah, she looks much older right there.
Yeah, well, that's not her either. But yeah, right here.
Right. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you kind of have these flashbacks to Mia, and she looks a little older. So I don't know. It may take place way later, but I'm excited because I thought like people's biggest complaint about Resident Evil 7 was just like the characters and the story. Which I thought it was really good. The atmosphere of that game is incredible. I'm not big on horror games necessarily, but it definitely it was definitely one I stuck with and played a lot of the way through. In fact, I beat it twice.
Yeah.
So this one looks
and then
a lot.
This one,
this is weird.
Tied in with,
by the way.
I was gonna say it's tied in with Corpse Bride. In what way?
That part's weird. I don't know what that's about. It kind of threw me off. I thought I was looking at a different game for a second.
Sure.
But yeah, this looks cool. I'm glad they're doing this again. A lot of people may have assumed because of the success of like RE2 and the RE3 remake that they would like go back to that RE4 style for Resident Evil 8, but
nah, they should just redo 4 in that engine, and then I think you'll be satisfied if you just do that one. That's all anyone ever talks about.
Apparently that's happening. So who knows? I don't know. I was happy to play Resident Evil 7. It's on Game Pass. I highly recommend that game for people who may not
didn't
horror
just
games.
Have it spoiled.
Well, of course. But I mean, some people don't give a shit about that. But
no, I know.
But importantly, if you've played it and you have a decent PC, like if you played it at launch and like you haven't played the PC version, but you're able to, the PC version looks really good, plays really good. It's free on Game Pass. Go check that shit out.
Yeah, it's a very good game.
And yeah, I'm excited that I actually get to kind of go into Resident Evil 8 and kind of have some semblance of like the characters and where things are going in the story. So
Yeah, I
glad they're
think I'll try to
continuing
play it
that.
through. I'll finish it before I play through this new one, but yeah, because I still have not finished it by
Yeah.
any means. I'm trying to think of where I left off at it.
By the way, I'm getting
I
a
don't
little
remember. I
goosey with
played
the
it.
source changes, so there's going to be a lot of weird stuff happening on the screen. So I apologize, but anyway.
Oh, that's all right.
But you played it when? I'm
Um,
sorry.
oh, it was like right. I guess right before. I don't know. It was right before I played Outlast 2. So whenever, but I don't remember if I played. I don't think I played that at launch either. I played it a little bit later, but it was good from what I played. I need to finish it. I need to finish Blair Witch also because I heard that was pretty decent. And I still haven't played through that either.
Yeah, so I heard that one was okay. I heard that the Blair Witch game was okay for what it was. I think it's like a short horror
Yeah,
experience.
I think
Um,
it's also in Game Pass, or it was. They may have taken it off, but it was on there at some point.
I guess I really won't put any footage up because I'm going to talk about it for 5 seconds. But I got my copy of Super Mario 3D All Stars early, which is
Or on
cool.
time when this episode comes up.
Yeah, when
I
this
got it.
episode comes out.
I got it on time.
I mean, I was happy to get it. Just like even if I could only play it for a couple hours tonight, I still got into Mario 64, and it feels like riding a bike in some aspects. I will say, like, it does age very well as far as like the mechanics go. Like, it still feels very snappy. Obviously, the visuals may or may not hold up, but I think because of the stylization of like Mario and the environments you're in, it's fine. And like you can kind of put that veil on that will kind of like, if you're able to look past the age of something, it's really good. But
Well, I think in a lot of ways too, like with Mario especially, like all of these games represent like a time period, and more so I think than other remaster stuff. Like Nintendo games kind of always hold up aesthetically
yeah,
because they always focus so much on the art style. So I don't really think you almost want them to stay as close to the original as they can with maybe a little bit of polish because you remember it well then anyway.
that's
Like it
true.
looked good then, it looks good now. Still, I think like I wouldn't hate to see an up-resed one.
Yeah.
But I guess personally I'm excited because like I said, I've played every Mario except for 64, so I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I guess mostly proper.
Yeah.
But that's
So
personal. So
I'll say this: like reports have come out because the game like leaked a little early, and some dudes got in and found like source code on it, or at least like dug into the code of the game, and found that these games are kind of running on emulators. Which I mean, Nintendo is kind of in the habit of developing their own internal emulators and porting games to it.
well,
Um, Go ahead.
so what I heard about that was that it's the sound and something else is running on an emulator, but the game itself has been redone to some extent.
Not
Like it's a weird split emulation. It's not 100% emulated.
from what I gather, so it's weird because Nintendo like they have a lot of the proprietary stuff because they developed the system, so they are able to like kind of work off of their original code a little better than like your typical like homebrew emulator developers. N64
Right.
emulation is still not perfect. It's come a very long way, but it's still not quite perfect. So they may be using some stuff that isn't readily available that other people may have developed. So yeah, you're right. It may be some of that, but I will say like they did not really do much to touch up these games. The text in Mario 64 looks a little more clear. They got rid of a very famous voice line, and I'm a little upset about it. But whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's more juvenile than anything. You can look it up
Yeah.
if you
Well,
give a shit about that. Uh,
by
but
King Bowser.
yeah, so long, King Bowser.
So long,
That's the
King
line that
Bowser.
everybody remembers.
That is what he said.
It is
That's
what
the
it is.
script.
Yeah, that was that was the written words. Yeah, but they really just kind of upped the resolution of the game. They didn't really replace textures, models, animations. I popped up Mario Galaxy briefly just to kind of see how it looked on handheld. It looks gorgeous on handheld. Same with Mario
Yeah,
Sunshine, but I really wanted to like start with Mario 64 because I think it's been a long time since I played it. But yeah,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say I don't know what the I don't know about the other two, but I know 64 is at 720. It's not at 1080 on docked or handheld. They said that it's
S-
like a
s-
720 res, I think, or
So I'll
12.
say
It's 1280 by 720. So
Well, I'll say the
YouTube's
resolution,
thumbnail.
like the actual in-game rendered resolution is probably 1080, but because of the aspect ratio that they wanted to keep, um, if you're into emulation and stuff, like people out there, I'm sure y'all saw that there was a fan project that they basically ported, like they coded like from the ground up, from scratch, a port of Mario 64 to the Unreal Engine, and
Yeah, I remember that.
that thing is remarkable, and it's honestly the next step that Nintendo should have done themselves, because that thing runs great, looks great. It's in 16 by 9 aspect ratio. Nintendo didn't account for this game being widescreen when it released, of course, so I think they wanted to preserve that by giving you kind of that letterboxing. But if you look at the
Oh wait, so
actual
there are bars on the screen?
well, I mean, it's like kind of in the screen. There's black borders on the top and on the side just slightly. It's like basically a
Oh.
4:3. But like I said, the internal render resolution of like the polygons and everything of the game, I believe if it's not 720p, it looks very crisp in the handheld mode. So
Well,
I
I
don't
think it
know.
is 720. It's just not I'm only going off of what Digital Foundry said, so I don't know
Yeah.
100%, but usually
I
they're
actually hadn't watched their video yet, but yeah, so that's probably where some of that info came out because they could deep dive very much as well as anybody else. But uh,
yeah.
it's
Cuz I
good.
guess it was also done by their Nintendo Europe's studio,
Yeah,
which was I'm trying to think of what else they did. They had mentioned what else they handled, but I can't think of what it was now.
I mean
Yeah. Oh, they put out the NES and SNES Classic.
oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, so they're more, I guess, familiar with the emulation side of stuff.
Two things I'll say. I think one, expectations may have been a little skewed when we were talking about the rumors of this when we first started this podcast. I think maybe episode 1 or 2. I was really hoping for like a complete in Mario Odyssey engine like remake of these games. That's a little ambitious, especially for Mario Galaxy, which I think can be like touched up, maybe a little better than they did here. But if Mario Galaxy had just a slight touch up, it would look pretty good to modern standards. But as far as Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64, I think those could have used full on remasters. But in a way, I'm glad they didn't, kind of, because like that original experience is there. It does bring it back a bit. The other thing I'll say, last thing I guess, is that like I think the fan base is like super shitty about this whole thing. Just to be
Yeah.
honest, if you look at like a lot of the subreddits, maybe Facebook groups, there's a lot of people on here like, oh, $60, you could just emulate this shit, right? Or like just go out there and emulate all this. It's freely available. It's no secret, right? One, I do like physically buying games. It's just like a dumb, maybe I'm dumb for spending money on games, but I do prefer to actually
I
buy
feel
the
like
game
you
and
I was
have it.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say if you're listening to this, I feel like you're in that same bracket, so I think it's okay to say that you buy games.
Yeah.
But I mean I'm a digital boy at this point. I buy very few
Hmm.
physical games anymore. Um, I guess unless it's like an older thing, I like the hunt of trying to find it. Like I guess the last physical, I bought Brave Fencer Musashi on PS1. That was like the last physical one I bought, but that took me forever to find. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of with the fan base a little bit because it is that thing where honestly, I think a lot of it boils down to the limited release and then it also not being like touched up much. I think a lot of that has to do with it because especially like I think we said it too then as well. It's just like with the nature of when it's coming out and during the global business and then going also you can only get it for X amount of time.
I mean, I get it, but
Is
at
a
the
little
same
weird.
time, like coming at people for being into the idea of buying this game and playing it on a Switch and just saying, oh, like, oh, well, you could just mod a Switch. Oh, well, you could just emulate. It's like, fuck off, man. Like, I get it that those are options,
Yeah.
but if you want to legitimately own this thing and you want to play it on Nintendo hardware, what I was getting at is that Nintendo this week, like, they were putting out projections of like new hardware, or they were saying that they wanted to like, give people more opportunities to get into the Nintendo branding, which meant that, of course, they're developing new consoles, but also that they were talking about like the software hardware like model is that like the Nintendo games feel good on Nintendo platforms. The controllers are designed in a specific way. Games are designed in a specific way. I think like the Joy-Cons, while they're like a weird novel thing and they drift and they suck ass, I think that they are at least doing innovative things on a generation to generation basis. The Pro controller is a basic ass controller, but there is something about playing these games on modern hardware that I am not like going to completely scoff at.
Well, no, that's the thing is, anytime I've played anything emulated, I don't think I've ever finished a game on an emulator. And I think by virtue of like, it doesn't feel real to me. I don't know if that's like what that is, but there's like something about it that feels like it's cheap. Like I don't know. Like I mean, by nature it is cheap, but like I don't know. There's just something missing doing it that way. Like not that I don't I don't dislike it, because there's also tons of games that I'll either never find again, or never be able to see again otherwise. But there is something about I think even more so than like a digital thing, there is that like inherent idea that like, because it is just a file somewhere rather than a physical anything or tied to an account of any kind or anything, like it does feel very with the wind. Like it could just go away at any point. I don't know. There's something about it that feels very unconcrete. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of it. I'm going to play more of it. This week I'll be playing Mario 64. As far as the emulation stuff goes, like, yeah, I'm into like some of those retro handhelds and some of those like, homebrew kits. And, I think
see, now that's different. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in the emulation realm, but you're right. Like just straight up playing an N64 game with an Xbox controller on your PC, just something doesn't feel quite right there.
It's odd. I don't know.
I'm just saying. I get the anger about the scarcity. I get the anger about like the limited release. I get the anger about like oh well, they didn't touch up this stuff. But if you're coming at people that want to play these games maybe for the first time ever and they want to play it on legitimate hardware, I don't think you should like be out there like getting so pissed off and like trying to get people to not play a game just because you yourself have emulated it on a PC at some time. Like who fucking cares? That's just my opinion.
It's always like always an unnecessary comment in general. And it's also someone just wanting to sound smart, I guess. Like they did something that you couldn't do or whatever. I don't know
when the SNES Classics came out, that was the thing. Just build a RetroPie. Who cares?
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, okay, you could, and that's a fun project to do, but at the same time, like, I don't know, not everyone's gonna want to do that. Also, like, if you had your fucking like dad, you're gonna be like, hey, Dad, do you want to build this machine by yourself and set up all the inner workings of it, or would you like to just have this thing that is a gift or whatever? Like that's the other thing too, is like it makes a really good gift. And it's also like if you're a parent and you go, I don't want to go buy all these consoles to have legitimately, but I would like to show these to my kids somehow. Well, here's one way I can do it. Granted, you ran into that same problem where it's like, we only made 30 of these. So if you really want one, you better fucking get ready to pay a scalper for it. But again, the initial premise of it is like, I think inherently pretty neat, and I think they should just, I don't know, in some way add it into their lineup, like, or maybe have an option to where you can like have pre-order or order windows of like, hey, we're opening orders up again. If you didn't get one the first time, get one now. It doesn't seem.
Yeah.
It seems like they have all the molding and all the other stuff to make these things like more readily available in some way. Like,
Nintendo
I
is
get
like
like,
they come off like sneaker salesmen in a way. Like sometimes, like Nintendo's like rides this
yeah,
fine line of like trying to like ride that hype beast train almost of like, oh, these fans will fucking we'll run at a limited time. They'll sell out in like minutes, but you know we'll get ours and get out. I get it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Amiibos were
but
bad
that,
about that.
yeah, that's what. Well, that's. I'll get into that in a bit when we talk about their direct today. But yeah, there is a. Yeah, I think that's it. But again, when you look at it, you're like, any of these games are easily worth $20.
Yeah.
Like, I get like maybe you don't like. I understand that like some people don't like Sunshine. I say out of the two in there, that's the one that people maybe don't care about the most. Actually, that is the one people don't care about the most. I personally really like that game, but I like all three of the, well, two of them because I don't know about 64 yet, but I assume I'm gonna like it. Um, but yeah, it's like yeah, dude, $20 for these games with untouched, that's fine. It runs port. That's the other thing too is you've probably spent way more money on single games ported to PC that still run like shit. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's been so many of those that have happened over the years that it's like, dude, are you even Horizon Zero Dawn, that was $50 and that's didn't run great for the first like 2 or 3 weeks. It was still like pretty chuggy. And I mean it's been ironed out by now, but still it's like I don't know. Come on, dog. Like how many things can you I feel like we have so many things to bitch about already. Like can you really
Yeah.
do we really need another thing that's really pretty trivial in the grand scheme of stuff?
I will say I think a lot of the anger stems from the underwhelming, like, oh, they really didn't do much to touch these things up. But who knows?
Sure.
Like, and I mean, like, I've heard this said, but who knows? Maybe for in like 10 years we'll see like an actual true to life master remake of Mario 64. I truly think in our lifetime that will happen. But yeah, who knows?
Well, yeah, I feel like I think it'll be a bit now because I think the idea is like I would look at it two ways. I wonder it's like if it's like you built hype enough with this to where you do that, but I also wonder the diminishing returns of putting out a game and then going, okay, play this whole game again. It just looks better, but now like a month or a year later, you know what I mean?
I think they would be smart enough to like do a Mario 64 DS situation where like the core of the game is still there, but a lot of the additional stuff is from like the additional characters you could play or like some of the challenges. They added like new stars and stuff. So who knows? Maybe they
Or
get there.
what if they just patched it into this one
Well,
and then just said, here you go. We're sorry a bit. Well, they're
Or-
never going to say sorry for anything, but they'll
Yeah.
go, here we go. We know what you wanted.
we put
Or go,
Waluigi
hey,
in Smash.
give us $10 and we'll give you, and here's the up-res one if you already own this, or pay 30 or whatever and get the thing as a complete or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to
guess
think of
that's,
like some other
wishful
way.
thinking, but
Well, with Nintendo, it's always wishful thinking because you never know, and they're going to do whatever they want, no
Yeah.
matter what. So you kind of just have to ride
Yeah.
their lightning.
I do want to get to news. Those are
Yeah,
really the big games. We did play Among Us. This game is everywhere. I'm sure if you're on the internet, you've seen this
Yeah.
game. But this is like
It's real good.
it's fun. I
Yeah.
think it's also fun. Oh, they're playing high speed mode. Whatever. I'll just leave it up.
I
This-
think if you like improv at all, this is really fun.
if you like
and-
lying to people too, if
Yes.
you fancy yourself a good liar.
Well, what is improv if not lying? Or if you can just turn off your camera whenever you start to feel like you might give away what you're doing, Christian. And then you can sort of cheat that way a little bit. Or I'm really bad at lying though, to be honest. In this context, I was like, there's so many times where they're just like, we hadn't said anything, and I was like, ah, shit, yeah, I wonder why. This fucking was scheming.
I think a lot of people play like this, but we play with a couple rules. Like if you're playing with friends in Discord, if you die, you don't rat out who killed you, because everybody could just jump on that right away. If you
Well, I think if we died, we didn't announce it at all.
you don't
Unless,
announce that you're dead at all. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you leave it completely Because if they didn't see it, they wouldn't have seen it. So you
Yeah,
can't let anybody know it happened.
because in the game, if you're playing with randoms, there's no voice chat. It's all text chat. So if you see that little chat bubble up there, you click it. You can like kind of talk amongst yourselves and like suss out who it may have been. People
Well,
in there
only
will,
during
like,
the mid rounds too, though. That's the other big thing. Is it's not
yeah.
like you don't have chat the whole time. It's only at specific spots.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't announce our deaths because you can't talk to the other people when you're dead. You can talk to the other dead people, which I think is
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, you can't talk to people who are alive when you're dead. The game's like $5 on Steam. It's free on mobile. You can pay like $2 to get rid of ads. They also have like some cosmetic stuff you can buy. Like the little stick figure man that's running around. I think that's like a $2 purchase on Steam. So if you, I would say if you, I'm thinking about buying one of those dumb little pets just to support them a little more because
I bought the dog because it kind of looks like my dog.
that's cool.
I couldn't help it. I mean, it was right there, and $5 is already so inexpensive for
Exactly.
a good game.
Get it and play with friends. Have those rules in mind. And I'm sure we're not the only people playing like that. But
Oh no, I think it's mandatory if you're in voice chat with people to do that because it really. I think really it's just find the way that the game is set up on its own and just follow those rules because it's like. I think the other big rule we had is just like you can lie at any time to each other regardless of the other rules. Like as long as whatever you're saying is bullshit, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of like I think adds to the experience because you can just sort of call out false deaths and do all this other shit, and I think that adds to the chaos of it. But yeah, it's a cool game. It's totally worth playing or worth watching people see.
So they did announce that they are working on a second one. They're still going to add content to this one. Very small developer. I don't know who's making this thing, but they're raking it in at this point. I think at one point the viewership of this game was almost as high as like Call of Duty or Fortnite at one point, or higher on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, I could look at. Hold on a second. I'll check the current player count. I bet it's through the roof.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll say I bought Kingdoms of Amalur: The Re-Reckoning. I'll be playing that more. I've only dipped like an hour into it because I recently fixed my PC, new build and everything, and I find that whenever I build a new PC, it's like 2 weeks of me fucking around with things, and then I start actually playing games. So,
Yeah,
it looks good. Kingdoms of Amalur: the first one, I only played like the first several hours of it. I thought it was really fun. My biggest complaint is it felt a little empty at times, but that game was originally going to be developed as an MMO. Then they made it single player, and they were going to create an MMO later, and then the studio dissolved. So that never happened. But it seems like if this takes off, then THQ Nordic's going to try to like revive the series. So if you were a fan of the original and you want to kind of like show them that, we are interested in maybe a third one, see if you want to pick this one up. I hear it's not as worth it for the PC folks out there, but I did kind of want to kind of vote with my wallet, if you will. But yeah, so what's the stats on the Among Us viewership?
Okay, well the current player count is 260,000. What's really crazy is the hours played in the month or two that it's been out is 51 million hours.
Holy
like
shit.
That's by everybody, a collective, but 51,433,000 hours played collectively throughout the time it's been released. If you can believe it, and I think this is, I'm not sure. I guess this. Okay, I'm sorry. That's in the last 30 days. That's how many hours played collectively.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
and
that is.
I have the
insane.
Twitch stats up too. Right now, as we're talking, 318,000 live viewers, 7,000 live channels. Number 1 ranked right now, so it's beating like your Fortnites and your Call of Duties. I think I think a big reason for this game's boom, one, maybe it was like a good word of mouth, and this came out a while ago, so it's just now getting traction. But also, I think like Twitch and especially like streamer burnout is like very real. So like people who like grind on Call of Duty all day are like the big top viewed games. They just get fed up with it, bored a little bit, so then they like start playing kind of community driven games. Like they'll throw up their codes and let fans join, and I think that's,
Oh yeah, this came out 2 years ago.
yeah, it came out a while ago and it's just now getting the
That's
traction.
really crazy.
Yeah. So
Dude, I wonder if what that dude's bank account looked like. Because it was like I'm looking at the other stuff, and it's like what was this, January? There was like I mean, I guess it was like slowly gaining traction, because July there was like 129 reviews positive. July is what is that, like 600 positive, and then you go to this month and it's 30,000 positive reviews in like what looks like a weekend.
yeah. That
So
dude
I'm
must have been fucking stoked. Imagine waking up
I
to
bet he
that
would shit himself. He's like, well, it's got to be like you're super amped, and then you go, oh fuck, our servers are blown. Like you have to go like, oh shit, well that wasn't expected.
Yeah. He's got to go in his garage and like put out those fires on his host.
Yeah, it's that episode of Silicon Valley where they've got like all this shit in there, and they're spraying it down and catching their house on fire. Yeah, because that's got to be a crazy transition. But I mean, congrats to him though. It's super well thought out, and yeah, it's super super fun.
It is fun.
So it's like
to
see what else they do with it.
There's like a RL game, real life, by the way, game called like Werewolf.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah. RL. It actually means RL Stein.
Okay.
It's actually based on a Goosebumps novel, called Among Us, where you're trying to
Called
suss out the
Austin
imposters.
Powers.
Yeah.
Oh. You're trying to suss out which one is not Mike Myers in the room, and it's everyone is except for you.
All right, I'm swiftly.
And you might even be.
All right. Oh, well, I'm getting to the news now.
Yeah.
So this is something you
good?
wanted to kind of talk about. The
Oh
Quest.
yeah, just quickly, Facebook had their VR conference effectively, or I can't remember the name of what they called it, but they have some. It's not Facebook Connect, but it's like Facebook VR something or other. It's a really odd situation, but basically it was like Mark Zuckerberg talked for about an hour and a half about VR and on Oculus's behalf and some other stuff. The big thing here is like it has the second version of the XR2 chip, which is like apparently double the performance of what was in the last Quest, which is already big. It has a single panel display. You have eye adjustments for those that need it, because the first one had like, I think it was all done digitally. This one has like 3 different settings for eye distance, so that's a big one. The controllers have better tracking. That's the thing. Yeah. So the 64 gig one is $299. The 128 gig one I think is $399. So effectively making it the cheapest, highest quality one you could get at the moment. It is, I think the resolution is higher than the index, but it is a single panel, and it only runs at 75 hertz boosted to 90 hertz game depending, which is a little weird. So you won't be getting the full, I feel like, experience out of that. The other big caveat with it is the accessories to it. So you look at the $299, you go, that's incredible. But then you go, okay, well, the link cable to the PC, that's $80. And then you look at, okay, well, the head strap is not the most comfortable one. You can buy a more comfortable one that's another $50. So that's like, I don't know, you're around like 420 some bucks at that point. And then the battery controller, they had a big improvement to the controllers. They said that they last like way longer than the other ones, like probably I think it was like up to 16 times or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then then you have like another face pack that's like $40, then a carry case if you need that, that's another $50, and then they have like a Logitech headset that's like $100 because it has like out firing speakers from the side of it, so that's a little weird too. All that being said, though, if you are looking into getting into VR, like I am personally, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better deal in that space if that's what you're trying to do. And especially, I mean, standalone, it seems like it's really powerful, but even if not, if you have a computer that's already capable of that or fully capable, this is probably not the worst you could do by, you know, at least spending that little intake and then seeing if you really care at all about VR after actually getting to do it, and then going from there maybe to something grander later down. But yeah, it's really the price. They're making twice as many units as they did before. I think they sold 600,000 of the first one, and they've produced 2 million of these. So Facebook is pushing hard to get VR into homes. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, that really only is good for VR as a whole, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it does look like a cool major improvement to the original, like the resolution in the eyes and stuff. That's that's significantly higher than I think people projected it to be. And that's like the big thing with VR is just like having not only high resolution, but the low tunnel vision and also like the latency, because that can really cause people to have some discomfort. And I think that's the biggest barrier.
Yeah, and that's why I say I didn't pull the trigger on this one. Is because the peripherals are still not as good as they could be. Like from what people were saying, it was about on par with the original Quest. Okay. Which is a bit of a bummer. They did say that the like blur effect of your peripheral is better, but the fact that you still have like some blackness, is a bit of a hang up. And then the refresh rate is the other big one. Because if I would get it, it would be for my girlfriend and I both. But she gets motion sickness, whereas I don't. But I still, if I'm in there, I want the full, peripheral thing. And the refresh rate is a big one with that stuff.
I will say, I think the index is the closest you can get to that. The kind of tunnel vision stuff is like prevalent in almost every headset, but I think the next big leap for VR will be figuring out the surround kind of vision for these. And whether that means like internal like eye tracking to kind of like adjust the display on the fly. I don't know. Well, see,
that's what Oculus currently uses for their stuff. But that's how they get your eye. I can't think of the word, but your eye, because everyone's eyes are set apart, a different thing. Mm-hmm. So that's what they use in the Rift S, I believe, and the Quest, whereas it was done digitally that did that, and that's where people had some issue as well, is like that it wouldn't. They were getting blur and screen door and all kinds of distance stuff because it didn't track their eyes properly, or it wasn't set up to do it as well as it could be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm interested. I'm still have my index pre-order in there, so we'll see. I don't know if I still have not decided if I'm going to pull the trigger on that, because we've gotten 800 announcements of expensive things that are coming over the horizon.
I mean, speaking
and games
of
that
this, when I saw this, I was like, this is right up Kelly's alley, right here. Holy shit! Dog.
Yeah, I can't believe we're getting 2 Monster Hunter games on the Switch. I will say, oh man, this looks pretty rad. I guess the main thing is it seems like it's gonna be it seems like it's running on the Monster Hunter World engine, which is way more free form and fluid than the engine that the older Monster Hunter games are on. They're a lot stiffer than World is. World is like very is more dynamic overall. This one too, they're calling it Rise because of the change in elevation that you're allowed to experience. You have this thing called it's like a fly whip or something. I can't remember the name of the bug, but basically you can latch onto all the environment and climb up it. And then you can use it in combo attacks as well. You can also there was I think it was the shield and sword, or it was dual sabers. I couldn't quite tell, but basically was throwing out the weapon and having the bird catch it and then spin it around, which is pretty wild, or the bug catch it rather. It seems like very the setting all seems very almost Ninja Gaiden, or very set in traditional. It's sort of similar to which one was it? Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, I think, is the one that it feels most like aesthetically looking at it. But you also have a dog now, In addition to your Palico, which is super rad, you can ride it and doesn't take any stamina while you're traversing the world. They're also saying it's one world as opposed to loading into different zones like you would traditionally do on the handheld Monster Hunters. So again, making me feel like it is on the world engine. The dog will actually fight with you too. That's another thing. So it seems like there's fighting styles to it as well. And fuck, man, I'm excited because I played a lot of World and then was gonna get Double Cross on the Switch, but I'd like already played through it initially on the 3DS, and that was just like an updated version of it, and I wasn't like that was my big worry is seeing this. That initially was like Monster Hunter World really took that series like way farther to the next step, and again with it being Capcom's highest selling game, pushed that series even farther. So I was wondering how they would try and come back from that or dial back on that if they were going to. And it seems like they only are trying to push it even farther up.
Yeah.
On a less graphical hardware, which is pretty wild. So I'm really interested to see. Obviously, the environment stuff is going to be the thing that takes the hit, and the fidelity.
Yeah. I will say, do you think
man.
that Rise, because I know Stories is like a single player kind of thing. Do you think Rise is?
Well, it's a totally different game. But I'll go into that in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, this. So I know that Stories is like a different combat, different pretty much everything about it is very non-Monster Hunter.
It's just in the Monster Hunter world, really. Yeah, but it is a totally different game.
Do you think this is like a more single-player story-focused Monster Hunter game than like? Because
no.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, every Monster Hunter game has a story, but it's still a 4-person co-op game at its heart, no matter what.
I don't know, because I watched the direct, and I think there may be like some co-op stuff, but it doesn't necessarily look like a traditional, because even Monster Hunter World had some of the like trappings of the original Monster Hunter, but it like evolved that stuff, especially with the open world, but mostly you're still getting the monster parts, you're still crafting the armor, you're still doing that stuff. To me, the gameplay of this at least makes it look a little more single player, like focused, like a more focused experience.
Well, that's every Monster Hunter really. It depends on how you play it. Because I traditionally play every one of them alone. World is the only one I've ever went online. Or no, I guess the 3DS one too. But those two I'd say in all my Monster Hunter experience, 90% has been offline, 10% has been online with probably every single one of them. Maybe a little more leaning on the World as a higher number, but they're all a single player experience. It's just you can go online and do it, but that's where the game gets its in-game more or less, is by going online and doing the rest of it.
Yeah,
but every one of them has a traditional story that you're going through. I think the hang up on this one is because the movement is so outlandish and wild, it makes it seem like you have a single player focus, but
it also seems like the character you're playing is like fully voiced and like has a story, and we haven't done that before. Like
well, I mean, every character has you pick the voice for them.
Yeah, but I'm talking like lines in the story, like your character's the focus. Like every shot they show of somebody talking, it's this one character. So I wonder if you play as this singular character.
I didn't see that guy talk at all. I don't know. I mean, maybe I need to watch it again, but I don't remember seeing the main character speak. Because it seemed like it was narrated by the Red Captain, but
yeah.
Because I think he just smiles. I don't think he says.
Yeah, I wish we had the audio on this, but
yeah.
To me, it looks like it's a more narrative, like single player, like protagonist focused game, other than like the old style of Monster Hunter. But
I would say if they were going to do that, they would do something. They would give it another acronym that wasn't that, because like I feel like they would need to clarify that out of the gate, so they wouldn't have fans go like ape shit. But I mean, because even like that's a female character that you just were looking at on the screen there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't look like the way they're presenting it doesn't look like a traditional Monster Hunter game to me. Because like
Well,
you
no,
look
but
at like
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say you look at like how they presented the other Monster Hunter games ahead of release, and it was very obvious that yeah, this is a Monster Hunter game. This looks
Yeah.
more focused than those original games, I'd say. But I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I mean, to me, it looks like a Monster Hunter game. I don't know. I mean, having played all of them, I guess I'll say, like, I see what you mean by that. Like, that looks like that there. I think what that really is going to be is they're probably just not showing you any other monster designs, like the armor designs, the armor sets, because that's like a big thing in the game, fashion hunting and all that. So I think what they're doing by showing you just this one outfit for the character in the cutscenes and stuff is just hiding what the other, because they don't. That's like a big part of the game is not revealing like what the armor looks like. So they're showing a bunch of new monsters, but they're not going to show you what the armor they make looks like yet. I guess would probably be part of it. And then I will say with like the cutscene stuff, I think it's just a farther um, advancement on the way that they introduce monsters, because they've been getting better in every one of giving you like a short cutscene or longer elated cutscene with the creature showing up. And I think that's what's happening here, because this story is very specifically like their single player story focused game. It's in a sense it's really similar to Pokemon, but it's more of like you can ride every monster that you find. There's like they have different traversal ones for that. You're finding like eggs for them and hatching them, but there is like the end game to that one is there's like a battle tower kind of deal, but it is effectively like a Pokemon game just set in the Monster Hunter world. And again, more set on, because it's also an anime and a cartoon that's on, I think it's on Netflix too, but there's like a overarching story and specific characters and stuff that you're invested in, or aren't, rather, I guess. I think the game is fun. The anime is like kind of whatever, but yeah, it's just a whole different experience, because you're not fighting, you're only fighting your monster against their monster. So again, like Pokemon,
Yeah.
but I'm excited either way. They also announced amiibos for this game, so both these is gonna run me about $150 to $200 between amiibos and two games for Monster Hunter. But dims the rules, I suppose.
Well,
I'm excited either way though.
we'll blow through these right quick, I guess. They're bringing a new punching game to
It's a boxing game.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Disgaea 5. I mean, really, the only big major news out of this thing was the Monster Hunter stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Disgaea 6 is cool, man. Disgaea is a cool game.
Oh yeah,
if you've never played any of these.
I don't. I tried the original, like when the Switch launched, there was a Disgaea, and I tried the demo of it, and I do not like the tone of that game at all.
Sure, fair enough.
It's
not for everybody.
It's too much for me as far as like the anime of it goes.
Sure, that's fair.
This game looked cool. I don't exactly know what it is. I think they revealed this a while ago.
This game looks like it's not going to run well on the Switch. Is what this game looks like to me.
Nah, this looks like another case for the UpRes Switch that is allegedly.
I've tried so many like tactic style games on the Switch that are done in 3D, and all of them run poorly.
Yeah,
I can't even believe they put Cities like Skyline on the Switch. I don't know how that works or looks, but
it works pretty bad. I mean, the whole thing is like at one point ports on the Switch became like a pissing contest of like, can we do it and not should we do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like my opinion of a lot of the Switch
Well,
ports.
and it's also like, if you are going to do it like proper. If you're like, again, like The Witcher, that ends up running pretty damn well, considering what that game is.
Yeah.
And then got updated to run even better, considering. After playing Divinity, I'd be very curious to see how that runs on a handheld on a Switch. But again, I can't be lied to again.
I actually heard Divinity's like one of the few that does perform fairly well.
Fair enough, yeah.
Sniper Elite, if you like that series, it's coming to Switch. Take it or leave it for me, but that's cool.
Yeah, they're not bad games. They're just kind of whatever. I was hoping, man, when I saw them showing a golf course, I was like, oh, give me Hotshots, give me something. And it's like fucking PGA Tour. This game's going to run bad on the Switch also.
Are you talking about Long Dark?
No. Oh, no. No, Long Dark will probably be fine. That game's not super
Yeah.
graphically intensive.
Long Dark's
it just has
really
like
good, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's hard as fuck, though. That game is like
very
really adamant about you following the rules of the world. No, whatever. Yeah, here. Oh, it was like...
Oh, I skipped the PGA because I think this game is already out.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, oh, that game's not gonna run great. And also, it's not. It's just a sim golf. I want a fucking fun golf game.
Yeah. Hades is out 1.0 on the Switch today. Yep.
Well, if you're listening to this yesterday, but yeah.
Yeah. So when I bought the game on Steam, I was like, man, should I wait for this to come to Switch? Because it may come to Switch at some point. They were kind of wish-wash on it. But now it's on Switch. So I'm going to have to double dip and buy that game because they're going to introduce cross-save to that title. So that's fucking cool.
Is it cross-save with any of that? Because I have it on Epic because I bought it like the day it
I don't know the
came
details,
out.
but they said it's coming. So I wonder if like you create a Supergiant account and it just syncs like maybe like some maybe syncs that way.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, Epic
that
is always
that would
it's always a question, right?
Yeah, I mean they have been pretty good about pushing cross-save stuff though, I will say. So I'm like, because that's the biggest pull of the Rocket League. But yeah, I'm like, because that's where I don't know, because I own it on Epic, but I wouldn't hate buying it on Steam because I like achievements because I'm a bitch. And but I do like, I think I would buy it. I think I would get it on Steam though, because as much as I like the Switch, I feel like that game is too fast for me to play on a handheld Switch.
Yeah. This game looks like I don't know what this game's called. It didn't really impress me. It looks a little Hat in Time-y. I don't know.
Yeah,
Could be cool.
It's something Wonderland, Balan Wonderland.
Who knows?
It kind of seems neat. It kind of reminds me of Blink's the Time Sweeper, though. To be honest, Tim Allen Time Toddler.
Bonk the Clock Kitty.
Yep.
That's right.
And then Room Factory, which are pretty good. If you've never played one of those, they're pretty extreme as far as farming goes.
I played like maybe the original one on the DS, like whatever the first one on the DS was way back. That was the one I played. Yeah, it's like a Harvest Moon with a little bit more combat focus. Yeah, cool games.
This seems cool. I'm interested to see that. Yeah, I'm interested to see this one because I played 4, I think, which I guess would be the one right before this. But that game was cool. There was a lot going on though. So I'm interested to see what happens here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
think
these
that's
types of
Nintendo's
games.
deal though.
Yeah. This was really it. Then they did. They showed Ori is coming to the Switch, which I don't think surprised anybody because the first Ori is on Switch as well.
Yeah.
And Microsoft has been kind of buddy with Nintendo because they like their platform.
Not enough to fucking put Game Pass on there, dog. Nintendo. What's that,
Nintendo
dog?
would not let that happen.
I know,
that's
but
where the buck
bitches.
stops.
They're cowards.
Fucking filthy
Fuck.
cowards.
Or make their own service better. Yeah. That's the thing. Well, I guess we'll get into it when we talk about the PS5 real quick because that's the next step, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, the last couple news items, they are what they are. Let's go ahead and dive into the PS5 stuff. We'll try to get through this pretty quickly too because there was a lot of shit going on.
Well, I guess we'll just maybe we'll just cover the pricing is out for the PS5. Most people saw already.
Yeah, I'll get to that part.
There's another video that was like 30 minutes that just had the game trailers, which I think is probably the important thing after seeing the price thing here. Cause yeah, it's $399 all digital, $499 disc version. It's crazy how this came out shortly, like a week after, or not even a week after Xbox's prices got announced. So
they're the
weird
same.
How that
they're like the exact
coincided.
same.
Well, the all digital is 100 less.
Is the all digital 100 less? I think it's the same price as the S, right?
Well, it's $299 for all digital for them.
Yeah, and I think it's
And
$299
then
for the S as well.
yeah,
So they're like
which
dollar to
that'll probably
dollar
go down.
almost.
Honestly, that'll probably go 199. I would guess when this one launches. I bet they'll get even cheaper.
Yeah.
But the thing about this though that I don't know, because they didn't, I can't find it anywhere, but it doesn't tell you the drive sizes for these. I assume that the bigger one is at least a terabyte. It has to be at least a terabyte
Yeah.
in this climate.
Well, the Pro
But
was.
the all digital one, if it's also only 500 gigs like the Microsoft's is, that's a pretty bad deal, I think. Like for these things. I mean, it's the same issue they had before. I guess Sony also mentioned that they're adding more games to PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, let me throw that
but they
up
didn't.
there.
But they didn't quite say. As far as I haven't watched this whole thing, so my information is gonna take it with a grain of salt a little bit. But it didn't seem like they said anything about the pricing of PlayStation Plus.
They actually, I think they came out and said it comes free with your current PlayStation Plus subscription. So they have. I don't think they announced any pricing changes. I think like if you just continue to play or pay for PS Plus, you'll get the library of PS4 games. It'll be like a greatest hits. It's not going to be every PlayStation 4 game. I think that and that's the other thing. I don't know if it's like the disc-based PlayStation 4 games will work on the disc model, or if it's literally just downloading from the service. But they also came out and said like 99% of the games will be playable. I don't know what that means.
On PS4, you mean?
Or they said the 99% of PS4 games will be playable on PS5. So I don't know if that means that they're gonna like slowly droll these out, like cycle them in and out, or if like here's just this entire library of PS4 games.
I assume. I mean, I guess if you own the disc, then that's the deal. I would assume. Yeah. I mean, obviously, they're still. That's the thing is like they're kind of again. It's being like kind of like low key about like how this is actually working.
Yeah.
And the fact that the compatibility went from like I mean, again, it was rumored or whatever, but I feel like in their initial press conference, like a couple years back, they were like, yeah, it's going to have insane compatibility, or backwards compatibility. And you're like, oh, awesome. And then it's like, well, it'll play the games you just finished on PS5. It'll play the last ones. And you're like, that's not what we asked for, dog. Like we want the full compatibility, bitch. What are you doing? Which obviously I understand is difficult to do. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder. Cause some of this stuff is like a little weird. Like Persona, great. But like Resident Evil
Royal version, and that just came out. Like,
right.
So if you play like an $80 run or $80, if you play an 80-hour run of the original Persona, and then you're like, oh, let me try Royal, and then it's just that game with a little bit of added content, remixed dungeons and stuff. I don't know if you'd really want to turn around and pour another like 100 hours into Royal. So that seems a little odd.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. I mean, it's like Infamous Second Son, like that. That's really old now. Like, not that. I mean, it's a good game, but it's weird that it's like. I don't know. It's just strange because it's still gonna be $60 a year, right? I guess because they haven't said, but if you're already a Plus subscriber and all this, I don't know. It's a weird selling point. Like I said, I had the option to pre-order one and I didn't. So I'm like still like on the fence if this is a good purchase at the moment. I mean, I think at the moment it's not, but
here's the deal though. I think that Microsoft has positioned themselves in a way.
Wait a minute. Hold on. One sec. Can you go back a second? Did that say this was captured on a PC emulating a PS4?
Yes. So I was going to mention that. So right before the Final Fantasy video, they put that. But right after the Final Fantasy 16 footage, it says that every bit of footage after this was captured on a PS5. So that tells me that they're still developing. Right. Like this hasn't even touched PS5 hardware yet. So we're probably not going to see Final Fantasy 16 for like another 2 years. I'd imagine it's going to be a while before we see this game.
Yeah.
But Fuck, what was I gonna say? Well, what I was saying, yeah. So we talked about last week the financing of the Xbox and like how
Yeah.
enticing that is. I think Microsoft
Yeah.
positioned themselves with that Xbox Access stuff. Like, yeah, go buy a PS5. We don't really care where you're playing games, but oh, hey, also if you want to finance this thing for like a fast food meal a week, then just like pay us like 25 a month or whatever, and come get an Xbox One S or come get an
Yeah.
Xbox Series S. Like that's it seems like they're in a, and like I said, or like we've said and a bunch of people have said, they're not trying to sell you a console now, they're trying to sell you on the platform.
Yeah.
So
But I
I don't
think, I
know.
mean, again, that that service is just, I don't, I think this will be Microsoft's year, to be honest. Like, as much as I like want to see some exciting exclusives out of Sony,
Yeah.
one, if they don't start putting more stuff specifically from them on the PC, I think that's a big problem. And I think on top of, because that's the other thing too, is like, with Game Pass or whatever, like, especially, it's weird because I would have never considered buying an Xbox, but I was like, man, if I did have a TV in the other room, and then I had like Game Pass with an Xbox on it, we could just go in that room and play whatever I was already playing on the PC just in there, which you guess you can still do with like a Steam Link or some shit anyway. But there was some of that weird in between of like, oh yeah, I guess I could just go, do that, take that in there or whatever. Whereas like, and again, just the prospect of like, oh, and with this service, I also don't necessarily have to buy any games, like any of the exclusives that I want from Microsoft. Now, the caveat being they don't make a ton of them, but knowing that, like when Halo comes out, I don't have to buy it. It's already there is pretty crazy compared to like, well, I'm going to have to spend at least 60 and or 70, depending upon how expensive these games are when they launch, for every upcoming title for this thing that is the exclusive, because that's all Sony's really offering is exclusives. Like everything else is going to be somewhere else at some point.
But
So their business model is just our exclusives are great,
yeah.
and I guess they have to be like to make this a competitive thing.
I don't think the launch lineup for PS5 is very appealing, but I think that they have just this showcase here. It was like game after game after game looks pretty remarkable. Like as not only as far
Yeah.
as like technical go, like the technical aspects of it go, but just like the, I don't know. There's something impressive about the lineup that they have. Whether or not a lot of this stuff is coming out at launch, but I don't know. Microsoft has yet to really deliver on the first party front or like the exclusives front. And even if they do, because we own PCs, it's like a lot of that stuff is coming to PC. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I do feel like.
But I guess the fact of the matter with that though is that we are still Game Pass subscribers regardless.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And with
It's
the
like
Xbox
that
Access thing, you get Game Pass with that financing. You get the Game
Yeah.
Pass with it. So if you're looking
Yeah.
at paying $15 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which gets you the Xbox Game Pass and Xbox PC Game Pass, then there's like a no-brainer there. Like if you can get approved for that financing, then just pay the extra bones and get an Xbox One S for like $25 a month. That's like, to me, that's a no-brainer.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're into that thing, I guess the thing with this game too, though, this game just looks like a boss fight continually. I don't know what it is about this, but it seems like every fight he's been in is just fighting a single creature.
They
You know
kind
what
of
have you
advertised.
noticed?
Yeah, they kind of advertised the last Final Fantasy 15 a lot like that. They kind of highlighted some of the big major like boss fights and stuff.
Are they going to show us his car or his friends?
I hope so.
How do we know it's a Final Fantasy
15.
game?
I
I never
15 a
finished it.
lot.
I kept trying to, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh man, I guess I don't follow Final Fantasy, but that logo looks really reminiscent of 10.
I think this is like them trying to go back, like looking at it and like seeing what people are saying about it. It
See,
looks
look,
like,
also available on PC.
yeah, a lot
Right
of
there
these
at
are
the
coming out
bottom.
on PC, but I think I think there are more console players out there today than there are PC players. I think that number is getting more like narrowed as the years go on, and like PCs get easier to maintain and build, and
Yeah.
with graphics cards like being competitively priced and cheaper, I think like the prospect of being a
Hey.
PC. Yeah. So right here, all cinematic and gameplay footage is
Okay, from this point.
yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know. Let's quickly skim through the
Yeah, I was gonna
games.
say, was there any major ones? Like the Spider-Man one looks really good, but it still kind of looks like the last one, just like a better frame rate. To be
Yeah.
honest, like it sort of looks like the which I think it is because I think it's DLC for that.
Yeah,
And I think it is. I think it launches at $50. Maybe it's like cheaper than normal.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off title. I think the Ultimate Edition comes with like the first game remade, I think. Or the first game ported over with some of the extra features.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder about that because I own a digital version of that game. So that's the other thing I wonder about is I own a digital version. I wonder what the system is there. Can I just play it on this? Do I have to have a PS4 controller to play it on this?
Yeah.
What is the setup here?
I think this game it's going to be a shorter experience, but I think it's going to bridge the gap between the last game and what's going to come after this. To me, this almost comes off like they were developing the DLC and they were going to make like a Miles Morales DLC chapter, and they were like, we can kind of stretch this a bit. Give the character a little bit more time to shine in the costume and like see how it works out. But I don't know, looks really good.
Yeah, it looks super. I would like to play this game. I mean, I like that last one a lot. I finished that one. It was really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, okay, what do you think this game is? Because I have a very strong idea of what I think this is, but I'm curious if you have an idea of what you think it might be.
Let me actually pull this up. Did you see that leaked footage that came out for this game like last year?
No,
Let me pull that up for you.
Well, then I'll say while you're doing that, because my guess, I think this is like a RPG loot game.
That's what
this looks like to me.
That's exactly what it is.
It is?
Yes.
Yeah, I totally knew. Because when I saw, I was like, well, none of these kids are characters in this story. I don't know Harry Potter well, but my girlfriend does. And I was like, none of these characters look right. The way that they're setting this story up, this looks like Marvel's Avengers, but Harry Potter.
Well, I'll say this. So quick like story of how this came about. There was like some dude passing around or like, at a mall, like, hey, do you want to like take a survey or whatever? And somebody was asked like, hey, we're showing video game footage for an upcoming video game that we want to get your interest. And they sat down in a room, saw this, and started recording on their phone. So that's where this footage comes from. But yeah, you can see It's like character customization. You're your own character. It seems like you get sorted into different houses. You do all your different classes. In the new trailer, they did show... Like, hold on. It does get to, like, some of the combat, like, world traversal stuff. You can see a lot of it's like a third-person, like, kind of action-adventure game. But, yeah, character customization, all that shit. It's got, like, the spells up there. A lot of this UI and, like, footage of this original stuff's probably changed by now.
I wonder if there's an online component to this, though.
There may be.
Because like I said, it feels to me like an online shoot. I mean, it seems cool. Don't get me wrong. Like me saying that is not a negative.
Yeah.
But it does seem very strange that is the game. Like I think playing as your own character is really cool. I think it's gonna be really polarizing for the community of the people that like this stuff, though. I don't know. Well, I mean, I feel like by now you've gotten enough Harry, but I don't know that because I don't know the story.
I mean,
but
So
yeah, go ahead.
The big controversy of this game is that J.K. Rowling is like kind of a huge bigot, and like she's obviously going to profit off this game. She has no creative input of this game apparently. Like they came out in a questionnaire or like in a Q&A on their Discord server and like said that she's not involved.
It's still her bank account. It's her IP. So.
Yeah.
I heard about that. She's like writing books under a surname, like Gilbert something.
So the books aren't in question. It's her transphobic views, and a lot of those like
no,
reflected in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. In the book she's been writing now, she's going under like a surname, like a man's surname, but she's been writing books that have been like, what you're saying. It was basically like this most recent one was like about a cross-dressing killer, I guess, or something. and people were not thrilled by that. Also, that it was like, I mean, I guess a lot of authors use surnames, but it was another like, you didn't think we'd find this like kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
This game
I
looks
don't
cool.
Again, I don't know anything about her or this stuff, but
I barely want to talk about J.K. Rowling, but
yeah,
it's upsetting because I do like the way this game looks. I think that more stories in the Harry Potter universe are welcome, and I think like a good Harry Potter game definitely has its place in like gaming. There hasn't I liked the Game Boy like RPGs. They were actually like endearing and kind of cool. But this is like an actual like looks like high budget AAA game. So yeah, who knows?
it is it's weird because it is Avalanche Studio that's doing it. It looked like
It's a different
was,
Avalanche than the one you're thinking, maybe.
well, I was thinking of the one that did Just Cause and
Okay, yeah.
Mad Max, Mad Max was a WB game as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious to see it. I have no affinity for Harry Potter, so it's not going to really matter to me either way. But it looks neat as a game. You can probably skip the next bit because it's a new Call of Duty.
Yeah,
we get it.
We get
There's another Call of Duty.
I played this
I'm
earlier,
sure it'll be
but
good.
Resident Evil: The Village. This looks really fucking good.
I can't wait for fucking this game.
Deathloop.
The more I see of it, yeah. This really to me feels like Arcane's like a culmination of all their work kind of put into one with like their own property. Not that Dishonored wasn't. And Prey, I guess they really made their own thing too, but there's something about this that feels very much like, all right, here's all the ideas we had in other games, and now we're going to make a game out of that idea. Because the idea of like, I guess mainly what they showed in this is just being like, all right, so your idea is really you got to try and get most of these people to the place at once so you can kill all of them, but by virtue of finding out every character and their patterns in their day-to-day, their movement and what they're doing in their day-to-day loop is where the game starts to come together.
Yeah, I guess
But
like
this
to
seems
give
super
background
rad.
on this, like he goes to like kind of kill the scientist, but then he like starts investigating like his servers, and he's finding that like, oh hey, he's invited to this party where this other guy is who I need to kill, so maybe I'll just like back off, let him attend that party, and then it kind of shows him in this trailer like later on go and like kill the both of them. So it does have that Arcane like that approach of there's many different ways you can solve these situations, and that's always cool. I like Dishonored for that fact that like you could go in hot or you could like completely change things by going a different route. The one thing that's interesting about this game though is the PvP stuff, where like, I don't know if it's optional, but
yeah, that's the thing that I'm like the most concerned about, because they've always been completely single player games, and I'm not saying that they don't have the. Well, I guess. They made the hide and go seek prey thing, but outside of that, it's always been single player experiences. So I'm curious to know how that's implemented. If it is, because have they said either way if it is another person?
I'm fairly certain when they first revealed it, like back at an E3, I'm fairly certain they mentioned the fact that the assassin can be controlled by another character. I don't know if it's like completely optional, or what, but yeah, it that part could make or break the game. But overall, the aesthetic of the game, the gameplay itself, it does look good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I'm super interested. That's the thing I wonder is because I just don't know how that gameplay loop of trying to find everyone's story to get them all to one place works if there's someone like an actual person hunting you at all times. I mean, I imagine if that's what the game. You eventually, as Dante, rip motorcycles in half and use them as chainsaws and then get back on your motorcycle. That's pretty sick. That game's cool.
Oddworld. This is a new Oddworld game. The only Oddworld game I've ever played was Stranger's Wrath, and I played that back on like the original Xbox, and I loved that game. But yeah,
it's pretty neat. Munch's Odyssey was good too on the OG Xbox.
Yeah, so they're making.
But this is like traditional ass Abe game.
Yeah.
I can't believe they're still making Abe games. Like they've all been well received, but it is just really crazy to go. We're getting an Abe game in 2020
It's also cool that
or 2021.
that game is like highlighted in a PlayStation like spotlight like this.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't
yeah.
seem like the type of game that they would show for something like this, but that's cool. That
I mean, based
that
on the way it
series does
looks, it
have a
seems like there's
legacy.
some money.
Dude,
Yeah.
So fuck Five Nights at Freddy's, right? Like I don't give a fuck about those
Mm-hmm.
games. But this shit, like I did not know what the fuck this was when they showed this at first.
I still don't though, to be honest. Like if it plays like the rest of Five Nights at Freddy's, I'm set. But if it's like in a world that you can move around in without cameras, like not through the cameras, then I want to see this.
Yeah, I mean, I say fuck that game series because at a time it was just everywhere and I was like fed up with it. But I don't know. I'm glad people like this game series. Just never was for me, I guess. But who knows? This one, if whatever it is, I mean, I did not expect this. Like, I don't think anybody expected a Five Nights at Freddy's game to get like any kind of view
Well,
during something. Like
I
this.
mean, kids seem to love them though, so I'm like curious as to like, because like how many have we had now?
I think 5. This will be like the 5th one.
Yeah, there's
3
there's
in that weird
yeah,
RPG.
2, well, 3, 4, then Sister's Location, and then Help Wanted, and then Help Wanted Curse of, that's a DLC. But yeah, there looks like there's 7, I guess, in total here.
Wild.
4, 5, or 6, I guess, rather. Sorry. Yeah, I could have sworn there's a lot of them. I don't know. I've never played any of them. I've tried, but they didn't seem great. This fucking
shit.
Dark Souls looks great. The thing about this, though, I will say that I noticed that he kills almost every single thing in one hit.
Oh,
I'm very curious to know if that's how that's going to happen.
That's probably for the demo purposes. Although,
I'm sure.
I didn't play Demon's Souls, but I did watch for this reveal. I watched the Giant Bomb talks over, and Brad and Vinny are like real into the original Demon's Souls, and they were joking about how like, oh, of course they'd pick the easiest fucking character for like for the demo run.
Oh,
and I guess
yeah.
this character type is called the Royal. So they may be a little OP at the start of the game. Who knows?
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
I like the way he's designed though. The character, like, it has this weird like length and weight to the model of the character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really like it though. It's got this weird like lanky nature to it, but
This game
looks
is
really good.
gorgeous. Like as far as like
Yeah.
the next gen games that they've showcased, I forget what that first one's called.
Spider-Man.
A Little Devil Inside. That
Oh, yeah,
game
yeah.
and this were the most aesthetically like visually pleasing games to me that have been shown for the next generation. Just like if you
What about
watch
Halo Infinite,
watch this like footage in 4K, like, oh my fucking god, this game looks amazing. The animations
Yeah.
are like real touched up. This thing is a launch title for the PlayStation 5, by the way.
Well, it says it's coming out on PC that day too.
But they also came out and said that was an error. That they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they came out and said it was an error. That it's not coming. I guarantee you, it comes to PC at some point. They probably just didn't want to lift the hood on that just yet.
Oh yeah. Well, it just said what was it? Limited release will be launching on PC also. Something like that. There was something at the very end of this that said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game looks fucking really good, man. It looks really good. I can't wait to never finish it.
That's where
Like
they were
every
showing
Dark
the
Souls game
Bloodborne
I've
stuff.
played.
And then they didn't even have to show footage of this, and I started losing my fucking mind. Dude, I'm just gonna pipe the fucking audio through it just real quick. I had to.
What I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, they did a guy. Oh yeah, okay.
Ooh, buddy, holy shit. Dude, I got way excited when they showed this off because I wasn't expecting them to like say anything about it. And God of War is probably my like favorite PlayStation 4 game of all time. Even though
Is it really? I didn't know you even liked it.
so I actually never played the original God of War games. I never played them. And then
Well, yeah, they're way different from that one though. Anyway.
yeah, they were way different, but then when they were showing this game off and like the world snake and like all the like the grandiose like atmospheric stuff and like the game seemed rich in like detail and color and like the voice act, I don't know, from the get-go that original game captivated me, and it's why I bought a PlayStation. Like I didn't own a PS5 or PS4 until that game came out. So yeah, I'm real fucking if y'all know how that game ends, that's one game I won't spoil, but fuck. That next
Yeah,
one's going to have some cool shit going on, man.
I got to the area with the fairies and then I got pretty bored and I stopped playing it. I don't know. It was some combination of like the frame rate and then just the
Did you have like a base
combat
PS4
didn't grab me.
or
No, I had a PS4 Pro.
That's weird. So there were a lot of people saying they had performance problems with the game, but I never ran into any of that. Like I don't know.
Oh, dude, yeah, it was like extreme at points. It had some like really weird stutter with it, and then some other shit that was just like I don't know, because I put it on the performance mode because that's how I always set it. But yeah, it was weird. I mean, I liked what was there. Like most of the story stuff was pretty good.
I liked
that I got to see.
Yeah.
And then
I liked the story,
like
but I also liked the Metroidvania aspects of it. Like I liked unlocking all the moves and then like going back to the open world, like the hub areas, and like being like, oh shit, I can now like use this to do this, and like there was a lot of like cool exploration stuff, and the exploration was like rewarding in that game. Like it felt like every place you went that had a secret, there was something rewarding there that you just weren't wasting your time with that stuff. God, I could go on. And
I mean,
on.
if the PS5 version that comes with the monthly is there, I'll give it a try on that hardware and see if that's any different. Because it was. I don't know. I felt like a little out of love with the combat too. I really like the axe mechanic stuff, but everything else that I was coming across was just like not grabbing me. I don't know though. I'd give it another try. It seemed like it was a game that seemed like it should check every box for games I like playing, and that just for some reason didn't. So I'd maybe, like I said, maybe it was just the performance stuff that hindered it too much, or what. But I would give it another run. I'd like to see it through because
60 between 60 and 70% of the game, you get a really fucking dope weapon. You get a really fucking cool weapon in that game. And so like right when you start to feel like the combat's getting a little stale, they like drop that thing on you, and it does change the game pretty significantly.
Is it your chain knives?
I mean, I don't want to say nothing, but it might be. Fuck. It might just be that shit.
I mean, that's Kratos' shit though, man. That's his weapons.
But the whole I loved the story of it. The voice acting was really good. That whole sequence up until getting that new weapon, and like the reason he's doing it, and like him facing his like former self, like shit, man. Like they gave humanity to a fucking character with like none, and it was.
What
I
are
think
you
it was
talking about,
pretty
man?
good.
He fist fought Conor McGregor outside of his house, and then he called his son boy 140 times, I think, in the start of the game. It's pretty good. No, I'm not gonna keep dissing it though. I like I said, I don't know. All I remember is I fought Conor McGregor a few times, and then I met fairies, and then I just remember boy a lot, and that's all I remember. So I'd have to play it again to have any real opinion.
Did you meet the dwarves and all that? Like, did you get that far at all?
The brothers, right? That craft shit for you.
Yeah,
they were good. I mean, the writing for those were good. I've got inside the world turtle or whatever where that girl lives. That you're the witch lady.
Yeah,
that follows you around. Pulled her shit up. Yeah, like I said, I got to whatever the area was with the fairies. Like it was like the second bigger open stage. It seemed like. I don't know. I maybe like 10 hours, 15 hours into it. I don't remember. But I played a good portion. It just, like I said, the performance or whatever else kept bringing it down.
Yeah, I
It's the
don't
same
know.
reason I didn't play Bloodborne, but Bloodborne was like really bad. The performance was really terrible in that game.
Yeah,
And
and
maybe
that's
I'm just
coming to that
pampered by
service too.
PC,
So who
but
knows? Yeah. And then there's the everlong Bloodborne PC rumors. So we'll see.
well, yeah, but the thing is about them having it come to the PS5 is, does it say anything about it's just gonna be there, or are they doing anything to the game,
I think
like,
it's
or
just
enhancing
there.
it?
Like those PS4 to PS5 games. I think they're just there, like how they ran originally. Like you look at the
Oh, that
PlayStation Now.
sucks.
Yeah, but you look at PlayStation Now as a service right now, and that's like their streaming platform. Right now, you can download a lot of those PS2, PS3 games to your PS4, but they look like they did when they came out. They didn't.
Well, they all run at
necessarily-
720, I think. I think they have them like.
Well,
I think
'cause
they still. I
720
don't know
was the
about when you download
standard
them.
for like the PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think any of them up-res. I think it's just like this is how it looked then. This is how it looks now. Maybe they do some like digital.
No,
cleanup
well,
on it,
no. I don't care about looks. I'm talking about performance. As long as it runs
Oh.
well, I don't care what it looks like. That's what I'm asking. Is like, do the performance of any of these games change? Because I remember, because I was playing Bloodborne on a PS4 Pro after they had announced and confirmed like the boost mode or whatever for older games, and I played it on that, and it still played poorly. So I'm like trying to figure out if they're just giving you the game, or is it being on PS5 doing anything to make the game run better?
I don't know, because I know that like From Software, like up until Dark Souls 3, a lot of their games ran like shit. Like a lot of
Sure.
them ran like shit. Like Dark Souls 1 wasn't like fucking pretty, like frame rate
Yeah.
wise, or and you look at that compared to Bloodborne, and Bloodborne is like has way more fidelity. But yeah, Dark Souls 3 and then Sekiro, like those run fairly fucking well. So maybe it's just like an
Oh yeah, I
engine
didn't have a problem with either. Actually, Dark Souls 3 is one of the best running PC games I've played.
Yeah.
Like that game runs really, really well.
Yeah, I think they learned their lesson. But what I'm getting at is like
That's what I.
Bloodborne's like problems are probably hard baked in that game. It would probably be very hard without porting it to a PC to iron that stuff out. Just from what I
Yeah, well, that's what I want. Well, I guess even from that though, I wonder, because even honestly, like Persona 5 didn't really run that great either, and same with like, because it was still like locked at 30, it had some weird choppiness to it, and then again, like Monster Hunter World also, I played like 200 or so hours of that on a PS4 Pro, and it was kind of iffy. And then same with like God of War. That's what I wonder is like, it's cool that they're there, but in what are they there doing? Because again, you look at the Game Pass stuff, and even if it's older games or whatever, it still works pretty well, if not better on their thing. Again, not to always compare, but you have to at this point between the services if that's what they're offering.
Yeah. Well, that
do
was
we
the
want to talk
PS5.
about this? Does this matter?
Just real quick,
Or
just
can we-
real quick. I'll just play the trailer
Okay.
for this, and then we'll play the trailer for the other game. But this is
Yeah.
Phynx. It's Gods and
Immortals,
Monsters.
Phoenix Rising.
The new title of
Yeah.
the game sucks ass. Thanks Monster Energy for doing that to us. Oh, the trailer's not playing on the stream. Here you go.
Well, so why? What? Because I didn't hear. I thought it was a joke that Monster Energy was suing them. I didn't realize that was, or it's not suing them. What is? What
They
is
file
that? 'Cause I
basically
didn't
like
know
a
it.
complaint or like an injunction, like basically saying like, hey, like don't use the term monsters. It's like our trademark. It will hurt our brand. If you do, we'll send lawyers after you. And I guess Ubisoft, instead of like trying to be like, fuck you, monsters, like a generic ass term, they were just like, fuck it, let's just rename the game.
How do they have a copyright on the word monsters?
It's it's trademark and like game. They can make a case because Monster has been like pushing into the like esports sponsorship. They were, Monster cans were in Death Stranding. So they can at least make the argument that they're entering gaming entertainment. So the name Monster maybe it's all legal stuff. Like nobody saw Gods and Monsters and
Okay.
thought Monster
Well,
Energy
let's-
drink. Like,
I didn't even. It never crossed my mind,
yeah, never.
even a little bit. Well, dude, can Pixar come in and go, hey, Monsters Inc. was our shit, you fucking dumbasses. Give me my 3 stripes. I want those now. I own the color green. My name's Kelly. I own green. Give me your shit. Like what the dude? I hate companies. They're so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
They're
I'm
so
not
fucking
defending
dumb.
it. I'm
Like
not
it's
defending it at all, but it's not unheard of.
no. I'm aware. It's the fucking dumbest shit,
Yeah.
and it's so fucking stupid.
I
I
will
mean, you go
say-
back to the Apple stuff too. That's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
It like the Epic's thing. Really, if you look at it different ways, fucking dumb too. Like it's all stupid. But this is really stupid. To think that you look at this game and go, I need a fucking pound of Monster Energy right now so I can fight the Zeus. And you know what? Honestly, fuck Monster for thinking that their drink is so powerful that you can fight a fucking Greek god if you drink it.
Yeah.
Fuck them for that.
Uh,
They're never gonna sponsor this show. That's totally fine.
but I love Monster. Listen, Monster, if you want to sponsor,
I think
this
it
show-
tastes like shit, dude.
Well,
Are you serious?
I mean, I love a good energy drink. I will drink pretty much any of them.
Well, here, dude. What I'll do for you then, so you don't have to drink Monster anymore, is I'll let a few batteries rot inside my old Game Boy, and then you can maybe chug on that.
That's
and
cool.
It'll taste exactly the same.
Hell
It'll get
yeah.
you just as jazzed.
If it tastes like Monster
So I'll
Energy
do-
drink, I will drink it.
Yeah, dude. It's bull filtered through steel.
Maybe
So
we'll,
yeah.
maybe we'll show the gameplay for that game later next week. But it looks like a mix between like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and like Breath of the Wild. You have like the big
Yeah.
map you traverse, you glide, you have a stamina bar when you glide, so very much like Breath of the Wild there. You have like these have these temples that you come across, which are essentially the shrines in Breath of the Wild.
I will say I think as good as the puzzling is in Breath of the Wild, I think it's more involved here, because these seem like longer puzzle based thing. I mean, again, obviously I have no idea, but from the outset it looks like that.
They showed Legion.
I
by the
will
way.
say
Who cares? But
it really looks like it looks like Assassin's Creed Odyssey if you just took the wheels off, because that game, again, if you've played it, you basically get to be a superhero at the end of it anyway, and this seems like the next step up while taking the graphics down just enough to either invoke Breath of the Wild or make it run better as a whole, because Odyssey had its issues as well. But yeah, I don't know. It looks like Assassin's Creed, honestly. Like even in the interface stuff looks really similar. Like the move picks and all this other stuff look really similar to that game. And it seems like it's built on that engine with just like a blanket over it. So I don't know that, but it very much looks like it's that engine. But anyway,
so this is the other game
Legion
you
looks
wanted
cool.
to talk about real quick.
yeah, man. So this is dude. I understand, because there's too many fucking video games and movies. I understand people are running out of ideas to name shit. I get it. Like it's got to be tough. Because this game is called Riders Republic, I think, which is personally another bad game title to me. But it's done by the Steep team, and I think effectively it looks a lot like what you would do with a Steep 2, but then adding different vehicles and changing it to where you didn't have to be in snow all the time.
Yeah.
But there is like snowboards, skis, all this other stuff. It looks rad. I really like Steep. Hopefully it's a little less realistic than Steep was, and it seems very much like that is what's happening. Because some of that stuff was more frustrating than fun with the realistic nature of the snowboarding in that game. And let's be honest, everybody really just wants another SSX game, but we're never gonna get it.
Never gonna get it. Fuck
this
you, EA.
seems like, yeah. So this might be the next stopgap. And it looks cool. I'm really interested in this, but yeah. Just wanted to mention that it was there.
Yeah, they also showed Prince of Persia, which people were kind of mocking the visuals of. I don't know. It looks like the old game, the same art style and stuff.
Did they call it a remaster though?
They're essentially saying it's a remaster, but they said they wanted to invoke the visuals of the original, but it's not pretty looking. It definitely doesn't look.
No,
great.
those games didn't look that great. They were good. Like those Prince of Persia games were really good, but yeah, they didn't look good.
And they also showed Watch Dogs Legion, which looks fine. I honestly really liked Watch Dogs 2, and it looks like they're kind of departing from like that game in a way. Like the playing as multiple different people and different like archetypes of people seems interesting, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked the narrative focus of 2. I liked the characters of 2, even though they were kind of written very. They were written like, "Hey, cool kid," like, "Hey, kids, what's up?" Like, I'm a cool kid too. Like, it was written a lot like that.
Yeah.
But I still appreciated and liked that game. So who knows? Watch Dogs Legion will probably come out and be fine, but I'm not super stoked
I'm
on
interested
it.
to play it because I like the other one, but yeah, I am. I don't know. I'm curious to know what the game actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see what it looks like, but it does. Like, I'm interested how this multiple story thing actually plays into the game because. Yeah, it's weird to be a one man army, like a one person army that is intertwined in this like ongoing story. I don't know. Do you make a character? Have they said that? Do you make your own
I
character
don't think
also?
so. I think it's like you may like you may make your initial character, or you may like just start with a like you pick like a class of one of the original like one of the character archetypes, and then it just randomly generates one. Because like
But
you're not like
how do you
a
sell
singular
DLC
protagonist.
though? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Watch Dogs 2, they got their DLC stuff from like some of the multiplayer missions and things they added, skins,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
That's why I ask. I'm like wondering like how do they get that DLC in there?
And I
Because
may,
you know they want to.
if I recall right, Watch Dogs 2 didn't launch with multiplayer. It came out later, but it was free, and then that's when they introduced the monetization and everything. So,
Well, I think it initially had that like weird semi online thing.
yeah, where you would
Where,
do
like,
specific missions against other players.
Yeah,
in
and
the
then like a
world.
hacker
Yeah.
would show up or whatever. But I think that the actual like multiplayer came later. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm super curious because this could be a cool game for that. If like everybody could be anybody,
Yeah.
that could be fun. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see because I still don't quite know what that game really is going to be.
Yeah, that's my concern. I liked 2 quite a bit, and I think they're maybe getting a little too far away from it for me to really be.
Well, hey, if you buy an RTX 3080, you can get it for free.
I just might. I actually, so I bought a 3900X Ryzen CPU, and I looked in my email the other day, and I have a free copy of Assassin's Creed Valhalla waiting for me when that game
Oh,
releases.
nice.
So that's
Cool.
cool. I
Okay.
didn't know that was happening. So
Yeah, AMD's actually really good about that. I mean, Nvidia does too, but AMD is I think better at giving free games
Yeah,
out.
I
But
feel
I think
like-
they have to.
yeah, I
Make
feel
a
like
selling
every
point, I
time I've
think, for
bought
their
an
stuff.
AMD product, I get some email from them that's like, "Hey, thank you for buying this. By the way, you get like a free. I think I got Game Pass for like my first
That's
3
really
months for
strange.
like $1. Like
Yeah.
from AMD.
Well, they were doing that anyway.
They were doing
they've
that
been
anyway,
handing
but
that-
it was like a little bit after the launch. Like I bought the
Oh, okay.
2700X, and it was like, hey, here's some more free Game Pass time, or like pay $1 for like 3 extra months or something.
I know when I was upgrading my graphics card because I kept like trying to land on which graphics card I was wanting, so I kept like getting one and then returning it and getting another one, back and forth. So I ended up with like 4 copies of Anthem because that's what was free with mine.
What a
So more to the
value.
point, Nvidia, you fucked me several times. Not even just now. Previously, you also did.
Yeah. Fuck off.
No, I don't know. I got 60 some hours out of Anthem. I can't be that mad about it. It was like Anthem and Battlefield 5. It was like 2 shitty games because Battlefield 5 is not that great either. Or Battlefield 1, whatever the last one was.
Yeah. Real quick, last thing, because I brought it up earlier and I don't want to forget. Do you remember that game like Dissolved that came out? It was like from the creator of Halo, or one of the co-creators of Halo.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Or it was like Disintegration.
You talking?
I don't remember this game releasing, but it did apparently.
Oh, it sucked, man. I hated this. Yeah, I
So-
played the like last beta they had before it launched.
So I'll say
I don't like this game.
they announced today that they're shutting the multiplayer off because they did not get like hardly anybody playing the multiplayer of it. They
Yeah, it was bad.
They found in their data that the people were enjoying the single player, but not that there was no audience for the multiplayer.
Dude, yeah, because it was super slow. It felt really cumbersome. The fact that you had like little enemies on the ground was just really annoying too. The jets didn't move fast enough. Any of them really. Like it was a bad experience. Like that multiplayer sucked. I tried it, because it looked cool, and like the concept was neat, but yeah, the multiplayer is really bad. That's crazy too, because this only been out for like 3 or 4 months, maybe.
Yeah, it came out and they're shutting the multiplayer down. That came out today. But I saw the like reveal for this game, and then I didn't even realize it like actually came out. Like
Yeah, because they did. Like I said, I played. They had a beta that they were that they had. Yeah, disintegration. Here we go. Yeah, it came out June of this year.
yeah, that's
So,
the not
July.
HBO Max. Yeah, that's the headline right there.
Yeah, less than. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Oh, yeah, man. It wasn't good. I don't like. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, while our player base showed
Bad
interest in
game.
the single-player campaign, the game unfortunately struggled to build a significant audience necessary for a compelling multiplayer experience. According to Kelly, it wasn't compelling from the get-go, so...
No, I mean, again, you look at the stuff, and then you see you're like, oh, you're a bike controlling units, and you're also a flying gun. That seems cool. Like, and then, yeah, you get into the actual game portion of it, and you're like, oh, this is super super slow.
Yeah.
It was just a bummer of a game.
Well,
Speaking of other weird twists, I'll just say very quickly.
oh, yeah.
Genshin Impact comes out on the 28th. And it is a mobile free-to-play game that is coming out on the PS4 and PC. It very much does not look like a mobile game. And the free-to-play elements seem to only be the characters that you can unlock at a certain point and the weapons involved in the game. But other than that, like, it is a very open-world action game. Like, it's pretty wild, really, to see it and to think it would run on a phone. Granted, phones are pretty powerful now, but it's pretty crazy. I'm super interested to play it because it looks like I could dip a lot of hours into it. And from what I've heard of people who have played it, have said, like, it's really crazy how rewarding the game is. Like, it does feel like no matter what you're doing, you're always somehow doing like 5 things at a time, and it's like that endorphin hit of a game like this that you kind of want. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Is it
'cause
multiplayer, by the way? Like,
I don't actually know. It doesn't seem like it is, because it seems like you control all 4 characters at once, but you're switching between them at any given time. Like, it's like you're switching between them to continue combos and stuff. But that was the other big thing that it was showing, is like almost similar to Divinity. Like when you get in water, like a thing that says you're wet will go over you, and then like electricity works with like wind. Like one of the characters throws a tornado over top of a fire that someone had set, and then that turned into a fire tornado and went on somebody. So it seems like there's a lot of elemental play together. I guess like Divinity is obviously the most recent thing I can think of, but sort of similar to like Magicka and stuff.
yeah.
But I guess each character, because you switch to them, will then impact that as well. Seems fucking cool, man. I think I'm on board.
We'll check it out.
I think I'm gonna spend more time with that game than I probably should. Is what it looks like to me.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's it, guys.
Yeah, we've been
How many
we've been
minutes?
at it
A
for
lot.
a minute.
Well, that's 2.5 hours. That's about our traditional run time.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. You can follow me at the Deadly Robot pretty much everywhere. Twitter, YouTube, whatever.
Everywhere boys are sold.
Yeah, and I guess last thing I'll say, I'll be playing more Mario, of course. I think I'm actually gonna try to buckle down on Kingdoms of Amalur and try to maybe beat that ahead of next week. That's a big ass game, so I may not do like all the side content and stuff, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's my plans. So what you got going on?
I think. Oh, hey. So Mario is available to be played now. It launched.
Well, there you go.
So I'm probably going to dip into Mario Sunshine because I'd really like to play that. I'll probably try and play a little bit more of Guild Wars 2 because for whatever reason I've been playing that. Let's see. What do I got on the review? Yeah, Redneck ad reviews coming up really soon. Robo Quest is also on its way. I've also recorded a thing for Invasion, and then once I get everybody's okay, I also recorded us playing Among Us the other night for like 2.5 hours or something. So I feel like there's some good content in there that we may chop up and turn into something. Same with the Divinity one, but that's goddamn. There's a lot there.
Fuck. That's a whole
Yeah.
saga, man.
We'll see. What happens. It's really down to me being able to edit all that. Or maybe I could send one of those to you if you want to start looking at it. Maybe.
Yeah.
If you because you were talking about editing an episode of this, maybe you want to edit that would be cool. That doesn't need to be on air. But either way, I will yeah. Well, thanks guys for listening as always. And you know, if you're watching this, you know where to find me. So
All right, guys.
see y'all.
Bye.